That impostor was a venomous snake. He desperately needed me to realize he was the only brother those 5 sisters truly cared about. So, the exact day I returned to that cursed mansion, he orchestrated those 5 sisters to lock me outside the main gates. They ignored my pounding fists, but I refused to submit. I grabbed a heavy fire axe and smashed it directly into the barricade without a moment of hesitation. The entire Jang household, watching through the security feeds, sat completely paralyzed by my absolute madness. I did not hesitate. Hoisting the brutal weapon, I marched straight inside. Jang Yenuo cowered in the back, trembling like a leaf, while those 5 sisters instantly formed a protective wall, glaring at me with absolute hostility. Their insults sliced deep. Fong Xuan, that door costs 800,000. A pathetic country bumpkin like you could never afford to replace it. Zhang Yenuo's eldest sister, Zhang Wanxia, struck first. 18 long years, and you somehow failed to die in the gutters out there. Why even crawl back here? Third sister Zhang Mingling hissed next, her disgusting arrogance overflowing. Just look at your pathetic state. Just breathing the same air ruins our reputation. Fifth sister Zhang Yutong folded her arms, absolutely dripping with absolute disgust. If you possess any brains, lock yourself in the trashy room we prepared and never show your face again. My dead eyes locked onto Zhang Wanxia. In my previous life, she took the blade Yenuo offered and plunged it directly into my heart with zero mercy. That murderous glare terrified her. She subconsciously stumbled backwards. I slowly shifted my focus to the nearby maid. Auntie Chen, guide me to my room. But she froze, staring at me like absolute trash. Who gave you permission to order me around? I smirked. She had made my previous life a living hell. Today, she becomes my first victim. I stepped forward with deadly calm, seized Auntie Chen by her messy hair, and viciously pulled downwards. She slammed into the ground, shrieking in agony. I mercilessly dragged her past the stunned siblings and declared, I am going upstairs to choose my territory. I claimed the master suite. Utter terror instantly washed over their pale faces. Zhang Yutong immediately shrieked in absolute fury. The best room belongs to our precious Yenuo. Know your place. I just kept walking, completely ignoring her barking. I violently hauled Auntie Chen up the grand staircase, intentionally smashing her body against the hard walls. Every brutal impact shattered her spine. She finally broke down crying. Eldest young master, please spare my life. I will guide you to the room. I will show you the way. Within seconds, we reached the second floor's right wing. The 5 arrogant sisters could no longer hold back. They aggressively swarmed up the steps, only to discover me looming before their beloved darling brother's sanctuary. My bloody axe raised high. Fong Xuan, you absolutely wouldn't. Zhang Wanxia screamed, though terrified shivers ruined her commanding tone. Break that door, and you are banished from this family forever. I simply dragged the whimpering Auntie Chen over the splintered remains and stepped right inside. Behind me, Yenuo clenched his trembling fists, failing to hide the venomous malice bleeding from his eyes. This is my domain now. I tossed the maid away like absolute garbage. The fake heir gasped for air, desperately suppressing the explosive jealousy and pure terror choking his throat. He pitifully grabbed Wanxia's sleeve, whispering with fake innocence, Sister, please let it slide. He suffered so terribly in the wild. He is the true bloodline of the Zhang family. This everything rightfully belongs to him. I cherished growing up alongside you, but my veins lack the Zhang blood. Remaining in this household and simply seeing your smiles is more than enough reward. Just give him the room. His calculated, pathetic victim act, soaked in toxic manipulation, worked absolute wonders immediately. It instantly fueled the sisters' blinding rage, overflowing their protective instincts. Yenuo, please do not worry. Wanxia stood as his ultimate shield, voice dripping with icy venom. I swear he will never steal your sanctuary. A dirty closet suits his status. Let us violently throw this trash outside. Third sister Mingling recklessly charged forward like a wild beast. The exact second those foolish women crossed the threshold, my dark, mocking smirk completely froze their souls. Filthy combat boots had utterly ruined the pure white imported luxury carpet. Right on cue, Yenuo whispered with fake heartbreak. Sister Mingling bought that exact piece overseas for me. It was a priceless limited edition. He left the thought lingering perfectly. The idiotic sisters lost their minds. Fong Xuan! Mingling aggressively pointed right at my face. I have never witnessed such absolute disgusting shamelessness. This sacred space belongs to Yenuo. Will you crawl out alone, or must we violently drag your corpse? This exact pathetic drama played out endlessly in my previous life. I felt no anger. Honestly, I wanted to burst into laughter. I casually opened my arms, offering a freezing grin. This domain is mine. I dare you to stop me. That arrogant provocation shattered their remaining sanity completely. Wansha's gaze darkened. She moved forward to personally execute my eviction. The fake snake gripped her arm, flashing an incredibly pitiful and wounded expression. Wansha, just forget everything. The room is his right. He is the true heir. Do not hate him. I am the one who should disappear. He approached with sickening sweetness. Do not be mad. They act out of pure concern for me. I endured that toxic garbage in my previous life. My stomach turned just hearing it. I refused to stomach another lie. I snapped. My hand crashed against Jang Yinuo's cheek, completely obliterating his pathetic, innocent facade in one devastating strike. He grabbed his rapidly bruising face, staring at me in absolute, utter shock. Crocodile tears spilled instantly. He played the ultimate victim perfectly. Yinuo. Multiple frantic voices screamed out his name in pure panic. All 5 sisters charged me, eyes burning with murderous intent. Eldest sister Jang Wanxia completely lost her absolute mind. Her perfectly polished claws slashed through the air right at my face. My gaze turned absolutely icy. I intercepted her strike, crushing her wrist like an iron vice. Without hesitation, my free hand viciously slapped her flawless, arrogant face. In that exact split second, my leg launched a devastating sidekick directly into her midsection. Her designer skirt meant nothing. Jang Wanxia shrieked in absolute agony, violently stumbling backward and slamming into second sister Jang Xia. The two of them collapsed into a pathetic pile. The entire Jang family froze, completely paralyzed by the sheer shock. Jang Yinuo stared up, his voice dripping with dramatic sorrow. How could you brutally attack Wanxia and Xia? Direct your anger at me instead. I was absolutely done with his acting. I lunged forward, tightly gripping his fragile neck. I hauled him upward until his toes left the floor, readying my free hand for absolute devastation. Smack! Smack! 2 brutal hits echoed sharply. A long-forgotten thrill of sweet vengeance awakened within me. Pure, unadulterated fear twisted his expression. He thrashed helplessly like a pathetic, dying animal. Yinuo, release him right this instant. Deafening shrieks erupted as the frantic sisters blindly charged directly toward me. Third sister Jang Mangling grabbed a heavy crystal vase, swinging it downward with lethal force aimed right at my skull. I smoothly stepped back, released my iron grip, and mercilessly yanked Jang Yinuo forward directly into her weapon's deadly path. By the time Mangling realized her catastrophic mistake, the terrifying momentum was totally unstoppable. Crash! The heavy crystal violently shattered right against his fragile skull. A genuinely horrifying shriek shattered the room. I stepped back coldly, watching him desperately grab his freshly cracked, bleeding head. Crimson liquid poured through his trembling fingers. A bone-chilling smirk formed on my lips. My, what a beautifully bloody blossom. I mocked him with absolute delight. Gorgeous! He desperately squeezed his wound, terrified by the gushing warmth of his blood. Absolute terror consumed him. Blood, I am bleeding out. Is my beautiful face destroyed? Even Wanxia snapped out of her pain, frantically scrambling up. Yinuo, I swear it was an accident. Grab the medical kit immediately, Jang Xia barked out frantically. Relying on her medical training, she rushed to his side to quickly assess the brutal damage. Shh, Yinuo, stay completely calm and breathe. I have got you. It is barely a surface scratch. You will survive. The emergency medical supplies arrived almost instantly. She frantically cleaned and bandaged his bleeding head. In that tense silence, Wanxia locked her hateful eyes onto mine, practically foaming with unhinged fury. Fang Jiwan, she hissed, venom dripping from every syllable. You return home, and Yinuo is brutally injured within 1 hour. You absolute monster. Pack your bags and leave this house if you value your life. I immediately erupted into dark, piercing, and mocking laughter. Oh, Wanxia, was I the one who brutally struck him? Did your precious third sister not smash a literal vase over his skull herself? Every single person witnessed that masterpiece. I hid my smirk as another sinister chuckle escaped. Perhaps slightly overly dramatic, but the sweet vindication was completely intoxicating. Dogs, blindly biting dogs, or rather, loving sisters happily destroying each other completely. What a brilliant performance. Wanxia's face twisted into a demonic, grotesque snarl. She choked on her own explosive wrath, unable to form one word. Fourth sister Jang Yutong stomped forward, violently shaking with uncontrollable wrath. Oh, so you are entirely blameless? If you had not moved, Yinuo would be perfectly safe. This is entirely your doing, you cursed wretch. Unbelievable, mind-numbing logic. The exact same idiotic mental gymnastics from my past life. I sharply raised my palm as if to strike. Yutong suddenly remembered her place. She instinctively cowered sideways in pure terror. Wow, I honestly assumed your entire family was far too brainless to actually dodge incoming attacks. It seems basic survival instincts do exist within you. I aggressively grabbed her delicate collar, forcefully yanking her terrified face right up to mine. My voice dropped to a lethal whisper, but every syllable pierced her soul. Jang Yutong, that was merely a warning strike to see if you would dodge. If my true intention was to destroy you, did you honestly believe you could ever escape? Before she could even process it, smack, smack, I delivered 2 devastatingly crisp slaps. Fang Jiwan, what is the absolute meaning of this? A booming, authoritative roar echoed from the grand entrance. Perfect timing. Everyone had returned. My useless biological father, Jang Shenyui, and the wicked stepmother who endlessly tormented me, Su Yuiwa. They froze at the doorway, faces draining of color as they absorbed the bloody chaos. The entire pathetic family had finally gathered. Let the real revenge game officially commence. Su Yuwa had just witnessed me absolutely humiliate her precious child. Boiling fury erupted within her, entirely impossible to contain. Her eyes locked onto Jang Yinuo, his face painted in crimson blood. Her wrath ignited like wildfire. She stormed forward, screaming, "Release my daughter this instant!" Surveying their dumbfounded, enraged glares, I casually dropped Jang Yutong. Snatching a sterile wipe, I slowly scrubbed my fingers, as if I had just handled absolute filth. Witnessing her precious daughter's bruised and battered face, Su Yuiha felt her soul shatter. She shot me a death glare, spitting pure venom. If I knew you were this monstrous, I would have choked the life out of you on day 1. That is your own flesh and blood. How dare you strike her down? To survive in this mansion, you obey. If I command you to stand, you stand. If I order you to kneel, you grovel. I simply arched an eyebrow, utterly unfazed. If Madame Jang despises my presence, I will gladly depart. Frankly, this pathetic bloodline holds zero appeal to me. Secret delight flooded Jang Yinuo's wicked heart. Perfect, he thought. Disappear forever. This household only requires one true heir. Su Yuwa almost screamed for my exile, but Jang Shan-yui fiercely gripped her wrist, intervening. Funwan, cease this nonsense. You are our rightful son. Your mother's harsh words are merely born from sudden panic. Do not hold on to this grudge. I remained silent. Walking away was never an option. This mansion was my ultimate war zone. I refused to retreat until they choked on the consequences of their sins. This exact moment solidified my vow. These greedy elites desperately coveted the secret heritage backing me. Su Yuwa forcefully swallowed her blinding rage. Under our roof, our laws are absolute. Your every action impacts our noble reputation. This savage display is an utter humiliation. Such brutality shames the title of the eldest heir, dragging our glorious name through the mud. To the public eye, you are merely an adopted charity case. Yinuo maintains his throne as the supreme young master. An amused smirk touched my lips as I shifted my gaze toward the silent Jang Shan-yu. My biological father, the puppet master. Mr. Jang, I mocked, letting the cold distance drip from my voice. Do you genuinely believe I am the villain here? Zhang Shan-yu's face plunged into absolute shadows. His piercing gaze analyzed my stance, shifting to Yinuo, and finally his trembling daughters. His predatory eyes locked onto me, visibly running the risk-reward calculations in his greedy mind. Before his verdict fell, Suha shrieked with fury. Had I anticipated this catastrophic mess, we would have left you to rot. You are an absolute curse upon our home. Barely 24 hours here, and you have unleashed total chaos. Silence. Jang Shan-yu's booming voice instantly shattered his wife's hysterical tantrum. Exhaling sharply, he addressed me with feigned tranquility, though his supreme arrogance bled through. Funwan, did the head butler fail to educate you on your boundaries? True, my actual blood flows through your veins. However, Yinuo has served as my heir for years. His place in our hearts is untouchable. I demand that you maintain the peace. A heavy, threatening aura leaked into his voice. Reclaiming your spot here means bowing to our absolute authority. Your savage display crossed every imaginable limit. Drop to your knees and beg forgiveness from your mother, sisters, and Yinuo. A sharp, villainous chuckle escaped my throat. It was the most pathetic joke imaginable. Mr. Jang, you are completely delusional. I marched forward, my aura clashing fiercely against his domineering stare. Since the second I breached these grand doors, has your so-called wife or daughters, has this pathetic fake who stole my entire destiny, Have any of these hypocrites offered me a single ounce of basic human dignity? Barring the gates to my rightful territory, is that your grand law? Banishing me to a filthy storage closet, is that your noble tradition? Shrieking like wild dogs for my exile, is that justice? Shattering porcelain against my skull, is this the glorious honor of the Jiang family? My volume violently escalated, radiating absolute freezing intent. If this is your twisted reality, then my apologies. I reject it completely. I violently tossed the soiled tissue aside, my predator gaze sweeping the terrified room. My death stare locked onto Jiang Shanyu, refusing to yield. Since this pathetic clan despises my existence, I sever all ties. Goodbye. I spun on my heel, ready to vanish. Jiang Yinuo's dark heart soared to the heavens. My permanent departure was his absolute wildest dream come true. Suha practically foamed at the mouth, eager to banish me. Halt! Jiang Shanyu's command cracked like roaring thunder. Panic wildly fractured his arrogant mask. My life or death meant absolutely zero to him. But the legendary power I possessed? That was his golden ticket. The almighty Tang clan of the supreme capital. My hidden connection was the ultimate key to skyrocketing his pathetic family into high society dominance. Losing me meant losing everything. Funuan, erase those rebellious thoughts instantly. You are my flesh. This is your empire. His tyrannical voice crushed any further debate. The women merely lashed out from their pathetic devotion to Yinuo. Bury this petty grudge. My footsteps completely halted. I kept my back turned, but my march toward freedom abruptly ended. Retreating was never my actual strategy. This very mansion was my designated war zone. Escaping now? Impossible. Not until these so-called blood relatives drown in the ultimate devastating karma they rightfully owe me. Chairman Jiang's desperate greed for the Tang family's power became my absolute shield. Watching me stay, he finally let out a hidden sigh of profound relief. Shooting a lethal glare toward Suyua and his daughters, his voice dripped with an undeniable threat. Hear me clearly. Feng Shiwan is my true-born heir, your actual blood relative. Whoever dares to banish him or push him away again will face my absolute wrath. Father! Jiang Wanxia cried out in sheer disbelief, clutching her fiercely throbbing cheek. She refused to accept this reality. Shut your mouth, he snapped back with a piercing glare. Look at yourselves, brawling and screeching like absolute wild dogs. Imagine the catastrophic scandal if society found out. Pivoting toward me, his harsh demeanor instantly melted. Feng Shiwan, that master bedroom belongs to you. Yinuo, exactly as we discussed, pack up and relocate to the adjacent guest quarters. Father! Jiang Yinuo gazed at the chairman in absolute shock. Devastating tears flooded his eyes while his entire body trembled violently. The sisters immediately exploded in fury. Father, Yinuo suffers from terrible insomnia in unfamiliar beds. You cannot be this cruel. That sanctuary has been his for over 10 years. Massaging his throbbing temples, the chairman ruthlessly crushed their rebellion. Silence. My decision is absolute. Shiwan just returned home and requires immediate comfort to heal. Start showing some basic sisterly grace. Yinuo, grow up and accept it. Jiang Yinuo bowed his head, desperately concealing the monstrous malice burning in his gaze. Fingernails fiercely pierced his own flesh. When he finally spoke, his trembling voice dripped with fake submission. Yes, father, I fully comprehend your will. I will gladly surrender my space to him. I sneered in my mind, though my face remained an icy mask. My first objective was flawlessly secured. Territory claimed. Dominance established. Pushing further today would be a tactical error. Locking eyes with the chairman, I swiftly initiated the next phase of my plan. Chairman Jiang, since the territory is mine, shouldn't every single item within those walls be returned to its true rightful master? That pathetic used furniture and tragic wardrobe hardly befit the prestigious firstborn heir of the Jiang dynasty, right? Just imagine the devastating blow to your reputation. Desperate to keep me pacified, the chairman casually waved his hand. Tomorrow, your mother will take you to buy entirely new collections. Trash it all. My heir deserves only absolute perfection. Su Yua grimaced silently. Those pieces were rare imports. Exquisite masterpieces worth an absolute fortune, completely discarded with just one careless wave of his authoritative hand. Yet witnessing the chairman's terrifyingly stern glare forced her to violently choke down her bitter complaints. Flawless victory. This opening battle was entirely my absolute triumph. Later that evening, I sprawled across the luxurious king-sized mattress that Yinuo once claimed. His lingering, pathetic presence practically stained these expensive silk sheets. Utterly nauseating, but irrelevant. Soon, this entire sanctuary would be purged and reborn as mine. At dawn, a vicious new game would begin for all of them. I fell into a deep, dreamless slumber. At daybreak, I descended the grand staircase feeling dangerously revitalized. The morning banquet resembled a sickeningly perfect family painting. The chairman dominated the head seat, entirely absorbed in his daily financial reports. Su Yua was affectionately dropping a premium crystal dumpling directly onto Yinuo's expensive porcelain plate. The sisters gossiped cheerfully in absolute harmony. Jang Yinuo maintained a flawlessly sculpted, gentle smile, pretending yesterday's crushing humiliation had never even occurred. My mere presence instantly slaughtered their joy. The atmosphere turned incredibly suffocating. Jang Yinuo gracefully lowered his chopsticks, immediately deploying a radiantly fake, welcoming grin. "Wonderful morning. Please join us," he chirped smoothly, pivoting toward the staff. "Housekeeper Chan, fetch an extra dining set immediately. Our brother is here for the morning meal." Sickeningly polite, aggressively lovable as always. I coldly analyzed the dining arrangement. 0 seats reserved for me, as expected. In my previous tragic life, I would have hovered there pathetically, waiting for a maid's pity, feeling like a filthy stray dog trespassing on a royal feast, utterly awkward and deeply humiliated. Then, the exact second I finally attempted to sit down, a vicious sister would stealthily yank the chair away, sending my body slamming onto the hard tiles, transforming me into their absolute laughingstock. But today, I marched aggressively forward. Every single pupil widened in absolute terror. I viciously snatched Yinuo by his expensive collar and violently ripped him from his seat. Caught completely off guard, a pathetic, terrified shriek exploded from his throat. "Fang Shiwan, what kind of madness is this? Release him immediately!" The infuriated sisters roared, shooting out of their chairs like triggered landmines. Completely ignoring their screeching, I delivered a ruthless, single-handed shove to his chest, just forceful enough to send the fake heir desperately staggering backward across the luxurious dining room. With absolute imperial grace, I casually claimed his newly abandoned throne. I pinched his perfectly used chopsticks, grimaced in pure disgust, and carelessly tossed them onto the floor. If a banquet lacks sufficient chairs, the uninvited parasite should know their proper place and stand. Selecting pristine new utensils, my voice echoed with terrifyingly calm, absolute zero emotion, delivering universal truths that required absolutely zero justification. Shifting my dark gaze toward the chairman, whose face had twisted into furious ash, I unleashed a wickedly chilling smirk. "Tell me I am incorrect, Chairman. Who is the actual impostor infesting this glorious bloodline?" I weaponized every single syllable, my piercing stare locking directly onto Jang Yinuo. All the color instantly drained from his ghostly, panic-stricken face. The ultimate outsider was obviously this pathetic, counterfeit young master. Yinuo's knuckles cracked under immense pressure, his entire frame vibrating as catastrophic humiliation and demonic rage threatened to completely devour his soul. Before the stunned chairman could even breathe, the protective sisters violently erupted again. "Fang Shiwan, why must you constantly torture our precious brother at absolutely every given opportunity?" Zhang Wangxia's face drained of color, twisted in pure rage. "Father, just look at this. Is this the trash you dragged into our house?" Absolutely zero gratitude, and he relentlessly targets Yinuo. Zhang Shanyu slammed his newspaper onto the table with a deafening crack. "I will say this once. Fang Shiwan is my flesh and blood, your real brother." He glanced at the pampered boy he raised, trembling like a fragile leaf, feeling a sudden pang. Yet, the mere thought of the capital's supreme Tang family instantly crushed that fleeting sympathy beneath an avalanche of pure greed. His piercing, icy glare locked onto Su Yuhua. "What kind of mother acts like this? You failed to prepare a single chair. Are you utterly blind to the maid's staggering incompetence?" Bitter resentment scorched Su Yuhua's chest. It was merely a chair. Did he really have to blow this out of proportion? But facing Zhang Shanyu's terrifying aura, she choked down her protests. The patriarch then shifted his deadly gaze to the fiercely glaring Wangxia. "Wangxia, you are the eldest daughter. Act accordingly. Shiwan is your biological brother. Keep your disrespectful mouth completely shut from now on." The patriarch's explosive fury plunged the dining hall into a suffocating, dead silence. Yinuo remained paralyzed, a terrifying chill creeping from his toes right up to his crown, freezing the very blood in his veins with absolute dread. This blatant shift in loyalty shattered his world. Hearing the phrase biological brother stabbed into his fragile ego like a dagger. Was bloodline truly the only thing that mattered? 18 years of affection instantly turned to ash. His fragile facade was rapidly breaking. Weeping pitifully, he spun toward the stairs. "Hold it right there," I commanded sharply. This masterpiece was barely even beginning. The leading actor cannot abandon the stage. I faced Jiang Shanyu, perfectly crafting an expression of desperate longing. Father, since I have finally returned, shouldn't we host a grand welcoming gala? Let the world know the true biological heir of the Jiang bloodline is home. I practically weaponized the word biological. To push my ultimate revenge forward, stomaching the word father was a perfectly acceptable temporary sacrifice. That single declaration dropped like a bomb, mutating everyone's expressions instantly. Instinctively, their frantic gazes locked right onto the trembling Yinuo. He stood completely defeated, biting his lip until it nearly bled. A venomous, untamed hatred twisted violently deep inside his corrupted soul. But survival meant hiding his fangs. Forcing his features into submission, he slowly raised his head, displaying a painfully delicate, deeply tragic smile. Father, he is absolutely correct. To celebrate his glorious return, a lavish banquet is naturally our top priority. And while making grand announcements, we must properly clarify Yinuo's true position in high society. As the adopted charity case, the savage taunt in my gaze was merciless. The fake prince was visibly cracking at the seams. He forced his trembling lips into a pathetic grin, his eyes welling with calculated tears. "You really hate me, don't you?" he whispered weakly. "If my presence yesterday upset you, I sincerely apologize." What a brilliant pivot. He perfectly dodged the trap, playing the ultimate victim card. Displaying just enough heartbreaking vulnerability guaranteed his fiercely loyal sisters would instantly transform into his rabid attack dogs. Right on cue, Wang Xia aggressively leaped to the front lines. "Do you enjoy being this horribly cruel?" she screeched, glaring daggers at my face. "Have you considered his fragile feelings for even a microsecond? Bloodline means nothing to us. He is our true brother, forever." I remained unfazed. Why would his pathetic feelings matter? He stole 18 glorious years of a luxurious destiny that legally belonged to me. He should be groveling at my feet in gratitude. And you, sister? Can you stop worshipping the ground this fake sibling walks on? Father declared it. I'm the true brother. Acting the insufferable victim cuts both ways. I stared down the patriarch. His imposing face darkened violently. If I am denied my rightful throne as the eldest master, this worthless family reunion ends right here. I drew my absolute, unshakable boundary. Keeping the fake son around is my ultimate act of mercy. Besides, without my beloved understudy, who would I crush for pure entertainment? Panic seized them as they faced the patriarch. Father, this reality will completely ruin him. Just announce they are both biological. Lie and claim mother-birth twins. I shot to my feet, my dark aura violently spiking. Blood is blood. A fake is a fake. You cannot erase truth. Twin status? For a street dog? Visions of the elite Tang family flashed through his mind, forcing his absolute surrender. Shiwan is the sole, legitimate eldest heir of this dynasty. The welcoming gala proceeds without delay. We will officially crown Shiwan, while publicly degrading Yinuo to his rightful place as a mere adopted commoner. His booming voice slammed down like an imperial decree, instantly crushing any pathetic hopes of rebellion. I stared directly into my fake brother's soul, projecting absolute dominance. This time, his fragile psychological armor completely, irreversibly shattered into a million pieces. Sobbing hysterically, he bolted toward the stairs. His desperate sisters lunged to follow. Sit back down and finish your meals. The patriarch's palm exploded against the solid table. Trapped by absolute authority, the panicked girls had no choice but to furiously collapse back into their chairs. The murderous glares they aimed at me could have instantly incinerated my soul. A faint smile played on my lips, masking the freezing contempt in my eyes. Jiang Shanyu noticed. In my previous life, I desperately craved their warmth. Consumed by shame, I simply endured their abuse. I stayed utterly silent, never once fighting for what rightfully belonged to me. Jiang Shanyu turned a blind eye. I paid for that pathetic silence with years of pure suffering and humiliation. The eldest young master title meant nothing to me, but meant everything to Jiang Yin. That is exactly why I had to steal it. Jiang Shanyu hated breaking Jiang Yinuo's heart, but the immense power of my Tang family connection was just too tempting to refuse. He hesitated for merely 1 second before eagerly agreeing to host the homecoming banquet. The dining table felt completely suffocating. The sisters ate nothing, desperately waiting for breakfast to end to comfort their precious fake brother. Hidden upstairs around the corner, Jiang Yinuo heard our father agree to my ruthless demands. Pure hatred flooded his trembling eyes. His hands clenched into tight fists. What happened to all those sweet, empty promises? Yinuo was promised the real son would never surpass him, that Yinuo would forever remain the true young master. It was arranged that upon my return, I would merely be the adopted one. Yet, in under 24 hours, Yinuo had lost his bedroom, lost his glorious eldest young master title, and suddenly had absolutely no true family left. I was in incredibly high spirits, serving myself more breakfast. I extended a hand toward Sua, flashing a perfectly pleasant smile. "Mother, I need money. I am shopping for new clothes." Sua's brow twitched with visible annoyance. She had always utterly despised me, and my arrogance made it worse. But with Jiang Shan Yui watching, she choked back her anger. "Fang Xiwan, you already have plenty of fine clothes upstairs." I cut her off instantly. "You expect me to wear a fake son's pathetic hand-me-downs? Does the true eldest young master of this family not even deserve his own new clothes?" I was no longer the pathetic fool from my past life, blindly swallowing every bitter insult without uttering a single word. In this life, I refuse to suffer. I will be the one dealing out misery. Jiang Shan Yui glared at her, stalling. "You short-sighted woman, I already explained the immense power he is connected to now. If we secure the capital's Tang family, we will not just rule City A. We will become massive players in the capital itself." He cleared his throat, his deep voice echoing absolute command. "Fang Xiuan is my flesh, the true son. Of course he will not wear old rags. He suffered outside for years. We must properly compensate him. Take him shopping immediately after breakfast. Buy him the absolute best. Current season, luxury brands, designer shoes, expensive watches, the entire set. Do not embarrass our family. We had wealth, but Jiang Shan Yui rarely spent his fortune so freely. This generous display was purely for my golden Tang family connection. You have to sacrifice gold to conquer empires." Cornered completely, Sua had absolutely no choice but to agree, desperately swallowing her bitter resentment. Upstairs, Jiang Yinuo watched this betrayal unfold, feeling his very soul shatter. Just this morning, she promised to take him out to cheer him up. Now, she was buying luxury clothes for her real son. 18 years of deep love, instantly destroyed by a single drop of bloodline. All his devoted years felt like a cruel joke. My sister shot me a venomous glare of pure resentment. Her precious Jiang Yinuo would be utterly devastated when he heard this news. Finishing his speech, Jiang Shan Yui gazed at me, likely hallucinating endless mountains of golden wealth glowing right behind my head. His cold expression melted into striking warmth. "Fang Xiuan, come to me for anything. I will back you up. Spend endlessly today. Tomorrow, your mother will enroll you at Xingchen High School. I handled every single detail. Do not stress over it. We are just going through the motions. The college entrance exams mean nothing. Your glorious future is already completely secured. Xingchen High School." That name pulled my lips into a sinister smirk, sparking a deadly, freezing gleam in my eyes. My traumatic academy memories ran bone deep. We departed in Sua's luxury car, the tense atmosphere completely suffocating. Jiang Yinuo naturally tagged along, pretending to help me shop. He spent the ride clinging to Sua, loudly flaunting their fake childhood memories. The two of them laughing warmly, radiating perfect affection. A theatrical performance meant to completely isolate me. In my previous life, it might have stung. Bitter envy used to gnaw at my soul. Now, they sounded like two pathetic flies buzzing in my ear, annoying, nothing more. Jiang Yinuo noticed my completely blank expression and provoked me. "Why not share some happy memories from your own childhood?" "We would all love to hear," I turned, fixing him with a freezing, murderous glare. "What exactly do you want to hear? How I starved, wore filthy rags, and practically lived in the mud. Or how I suffered endless torment out there while you stole my luxurious life here." My brutal words sliced mercilessly. Jiang Yinuo's fake smile instantly froze. "I did not mean it like that. My mistake." Tears welled in his eyes as he waved frantically. Seeing this perfectly crafted innocent victim act, Madame Su immediately shielded him. "He means no harm. Must you constantly lash out like a cornered beast?" she snapped. "Watch your tone. Simply breathing is a crime for me, right?" A chilling laugh escaped my lips. "Shall I redirect my anger at you? A mother feeling zero guilt over losing her actual flesh and blood. Protecting a fake son while actively crushing your real one. What an absolutely spectacular parent." Venom dripped from every word. History shows mistresses replacing wives, but discarding a true heir for a fake stray? Completely new. "Madame Su, you are truly a masterpiece." Her face burned red, neck flushing with absolute fury. Vicious words choked her throat, but she swallowed them back. She desperately wanted to scream that I was not her true blood. If that secret slipped, Chairman Jiang would utterly destroy her. Meeting her glaring eyes, I pushed even harder. "What is it? Spit out whatever is burning your tongue." Seeing her look like she swallowed poison genuinely lifted my spirits. The real nightmare had just begun. She better strap in tight. Heavy silence filled the car. The impostor tried sparking fake chatter, but I completely treated him like invisible air. We finally reached the most elite luxury mall in the city. I stepped out without hesitation. I raided the premium boutiques. Madame Sue trailed behind, hands physically shaking with every swipe, her face darkening like a storm. The fake son was absolutely crushed. Pure envy gnawed at his soul. This limitless VIP treatment. He had never tasted such power. His entire life meant begging for scraps while reading the family's shifting moods. Always playing the humble, frugal saint. This humiliation could not stand. He desperately needed to intervene. Inhaling deeply, he forced a sickeningly sweet smile. Mother, this endless walking must be draining your energy. Let us rest somewhere nice. Madame Sue was already bleeding internally over the massive bill. She seized that excuse like a life raft. But I casually interrupted, staring down the impostor with lazy disgust. Nobody invited you. Go crawl home if your legs hurt. Stop ruining my perfect vibe. Panic flashed across his face as fresh tears threatened. That is not it. I just worry for Mother. Her maternal fury erupted. He is just being considerate. You have squandered enough money already. Learn your limits. Smirking, I flashed the chairman's exclusive black card, letting the gold trim gleam. I am the rightful eldest heir. Why should I have limits? You owe me 18 years of debt. These rags mean nothing. My gaze turned glacial. Leave if you are exhausted. I will just summon Father to pay my tab. That lethal trump card again. Both their faces instantly shattered into dark scowls. It was a blatant threat, and they both knew it. Naturally, she dared not abandon me. Grinding her teeth, she forced her heavy legs to follow my lead. Her face mirrored a brewing typhoon. We boldly entered an ultra-premium designer flagship store. I casually modeled outfits, completely ignoring them. Noticing her fake son's shattered ego, 18 years of maternal bias kicked in. Nudging him gently, she whispered sweetly, "Go on, select a few pieces for yourself." After faking polite hesitation, he eagerly scurried off to browse. The dark clouds over his face finally cleared up. Stepping out in a pristine white shirt, he spun before the mirror. Mother, is it charming? He always wore white. It enhanced his fragile, innocent puppy persona. Stunning. You look flawless in anything. Her eyes overflowed with warm affection. A mocking scoff escaped my lips as I dramatically stepped out of my own fitting room. I wore a ruthless black leather jacket over blood-red silk. The contrast was dangerously majestic, a dominant aura devouring the entire room. The mirror is right there. Are you truly blind? I swept my gaze over him, my voice dripping with pure venom. Look at that pathetic frame, pitiful shoulders, stubby height. You look like a toddler drowning in his father's oversized clothes. His pale face ignited into bright crimson. Absolute humiliation violently shook his entire frail body. Why must you utterly degrade me? He choked out. Since when did honesty equal degradation? Closing the distance, I gripped his fragile shoulder, dragging him before the grand mirror. I gestured fiercely at our reflections. One was a weak, trembling lamb. The other a towering, razor-sharp predator. The brutal contrast was undeniable. Behold reality. Was a single word incorrect? Releasing my grip, I slapped his shoulder with heavy, punishing force. Some traits cannot be faked, little brother. Natural dominance, for instance. Blind rage nearly knocked him totally unconscious. Madame Sue shielded him like a protective hen, jabbing an angry finger. Where is your basic humanity? A freezing laugh escaped my lips. Manners? You dare lecture me about manners? For 18 long years, did you ever act like a mother? Did you teach me a single thing? Anyone else in this entire world has the right to judge my behavior. But you? You lost that privilege completely. Su Yuhua froze, absolutely speechless. Yunuo, why the tears? A piercing female voice suddenly shattered the tension. I raised my gaze. 3 heavily dressed girls strutted through the doorway, oozing pure arrogance. Feng Arya, Qing Shi, and Situ Nana, Jiang Yinuo's absolute biggest fans. Spoiled wealthy daughters, flaunting their family status. In my previous life, these 3 dogs helped him crush my dignity more times than I could ever count. Talk about a cursed encounter. The trio marched straight across the room, barely tossing a greeting at Su Yuhua. Feng Arya immediately grabbed Jiang Yinuo's hand. Oh Yinuo, who hurt you? Was it this trash? Her icy glare locked entirely onto me. Jiang Yinuo shook his head, flashing a pitiful, heartbreakingly fake smile. Arya, no one hurt me. I was just being clumsy. She totally refused to believe that act. Qingxi's fiery temper immediately flared up. Her own mother manipulated her way into wealth, and Qingzi clearly inherited. every single venomous trick in that playbook. Stepping forward, she sneered with absolute disgust. Has the whole world gone mad? A filthy adopted stray, bullying the true young master? Absolutely pathetic, Situnana echoed, dripping with venomous sweetness. Because shameless peasants never understand their absolute rock-bottom place. The three girls burst into mocking laughter, their eyes flashing with total contempt. Jiang Yinuo was secretly thrilled, yet he played the perfect panicked victim, weakly pushing them toward the door. Arya, Qingxi, please just leave. I am begging you. His pathetic pleading only fueled their self-righteous rage. They burned with fury for him. He desperately wanted a clean escape. But I had other plans. I casually blocked the doorway. Why rush? My dear brother's friends are exactly here. As his older brother, I should properly say hello. My voice dripped with dark amusement. My sudden barricade pushed their hatred to the absolute limit. Qingxi snarled. You filthy country rat, crawling out of the gutters. You think you deserve to breathe our air? Know your place. Feng Arya raised her chin high. No introductions needed. Just engrave your pathetic status into your brain and respect the true heir of the Jiang family. A fake son should never covet the throne. She tried to glare me down, but my towering height instantly crushed her laughable dominance. We stand with Yinuo, Situnana snapped, squaring her shoulders defensively. We will completely destroy anyone who dares to cross him. We are his absolute shield. Jiang Yinuo started sweating bullets. My patience for these clowns was zero. My deadly gaze locked onto Jiang Yinuo. Then, I dropped a nuclear bomb on the room. Jiang Yinuo, the beloved adopted stray. Listen closely to your fan club. A fake son should never covet what was never his. Remember exactly who the real bloodline heir of the Jiang family is. The revelation struck like divine lightning. Jiang Yinuo's face instantly drained of life. Feng Arya and her crew froze, jaws hitting the floor. Su Yue sobbed uncontrollably. Jiang Yinuo swayed like a dying leaf. I soaked in their utter devastation, like absolute fine wine. Pulling out my phone, I immediately dialed Jiang Shanyu, hitting speakerphone. Father? I perfectly faked a tone of completely shattered heartbreak. Did you hear that madness? Your wife and your adopted son's vicious friends. Not a single one respects my bloodline. They worship Jiang Yinuo like a god. I cannot breathe in this toxic household for one more second. I delivered my flawless performance and killed the call. 1 second later, Jiang Shanyu's number flashed furiously on Su Yue's screen. The patriarch's blazing, furious roar rattled the entire building through the tiny speaker. Forced by absolute authority, Su Yue and Jiang Yinuo humiliatingly bowed their heads. Before the dumbstruck trio, they choked out an apology, publicly cementing my undeniable status. The three arrogant girls turned violently pale, choking on their own previous blind insults. Their gazes towards their beloved Yinuo shifted into something dark and highly suspicious. Jiang Yinuo drowned in an ocean of unprecedented absolute humiliation. The perfect victim persona he spent years meticulously crafting, I shattered it to absolute dust today. I drank in his absolute despair. Snapping my fingers, I ordered the terrified staff to deliver my luxurious purchases to the main estate. Then I strutted out like a king, never looking back at the pathetic sea of utterly mind-blown faces. Waiting faithfully outside was a pitch-black luxury beast, silent, yet radiating overwhelming, terrifying authority. The tinted glass slid down, revealing a breathtakingly gorgeous face, hiding absolute lethal danger underneath. My absolute closest ally, the single living soul who knew my rebirth secret. Shen Wanqing flashed a devilish smirk. Shiwan, get inside. I have a spectacular show for you. Yanking the heavy door, I slid into the leather seats. As the beast roared away, I spotted Jiang Yinuo. Su Yue and her entire entourage stood at the mall entrance. Their faces were dark with bitter frustration. Suddenly, shadowy figures darted from the bustling crowd like striking vipers. Gripping heavy buckets, they hurled the dark contents right at the arrogant clique before anyone could blink. Blood-curdling shrieks shattered the shopping plaza's peace. A gut-wrenching, foul stench instantly exploded. Pure, unadulterated sewage. Jiang Yinuo, Su Yue, Feng Arya, Bing Shi, Situnana, Jiang Wangjia, and Jiang Mangling were all caught off guard. No one escaped the nightmare. Disgusting sludge drenched them completely, ruining their designer outfits and pristine faces. The plaza descended into absolute madness. Bystanders scrambled away, instantly whipping out smartphones to record. From our parked car, Shen Wanqing passed me milk tea with a sly grin. Enjoying your welcome home present? I watched outside, gazing at the chaotic, reeking humiliation unfolding. A chilling, deeply satisfying smirk naturally graced my lips. Brilliant work, but this is just phase 1. Jang Yinuo. My sweet sisters, I will ruthlessly extract every ounce of debt you owe. Xingchen High School won't know what hit them tomorrow. Our ride glided smoothly back toward the Jang estate. Shen Wanqing offered me another warm boba tea. Her signature blend was absolutely flawless, just like always. Shiwan, the campus boards and city forums are locked and loaded. High definition, uncensored close-ups from every angle. I calmly sipped the tea. The sweet, silky flavor melted away every lingering drop of my afternoon annoyance. Ruthless efficiency, I replied. For scum like them, total destruction is the only way. Shen Wanqing leaned back lazily, her gaze razor-sharp. Let them finally taste the bitter poison of absolute public disgrace. I turned toward the window, watching the glowing city streets blur past with eyes like ice. In my previous life, Jang Yinuo's pathetic fan club and my two-faced sisters spread venomous lies about me across the campus forum and every single social platform, maliciously annihilating my reputation. In this second chance, I am simply serving them their own toxic medicine. By the time I arrived at the Jang family villa, it was 10 at night. The very second I crossed the threshold, I spotted Jang Shanyu waiting strictly on the living room sofa. His face was terrifyingly dark. Suyua, Jang Yinuo, and the girls were missing entirely, probably locked upstairs, desperately scrubbing the filth away. That vile stench practically stains the soul. Ah, so you finally decided to come home, he snapped. Jang Shanyu shot me a harsh glare, hiding his slight relief beneath a booming scolding. Why was your phone unreachable while you skipped dinner? What kind of rebellious behavior is that? I lazily pulled out my smartphone and tapped the blank screen. Oops. Dead battery. I brushed him off effortlessly, then dramatically sniffed the air and wrinkled my nose. Ugh, what is that awful stench? Something feels completely off in here. I scanned the empty room, letting a fake realization wash over my face. Oh right, Dad. Did you actually eat dinner with them tonight? Jang Shanyu blinked in confusion. Yes, I did. Why? I instantly flashed him a look of pure, disgusted awe and a thumbs up. Absolutely legendary, Dad. I truly admire your iron stomach, surviving a meal with that wretched odor. Just visualizing it makes me want to hurl. Jang Shanyu's face instantly twisted strangely as his throat violently swallowed. He hadn't smelled a thing during the meal, but my planted words sparked a phantom, sickening churn deep within his gut. What absolute nonsense are you babbling about? He barked defensively. I simply cocked an eyebrow and waved my lifeless phone. It was useless as a screen, but my words painted a perfectly humiliating picture. Dad, haven't you seen the trending internet news? High-definition clips, extremely vivid, tragic close-ups. Jang Yinuo, Suyua, my precious sisters, and Feng Area's pathetic squad completely baptized in raw sewage right outside the downtown shopping center. Netizens swear they can actually smell the stench through their screens. I clicked my tongue in mock pity, aiming for maximum emotional damage. Jang Yinuo always played the flawless gentleman, the untouchable school idol. Well, he plummeted from heartthrob to the sewage prince overnight. And Feng Area's clique, who constantly look down their noses at everyone, now they are the entire city's biggest laughingstock. I cannot wait to see how they crawl into class tomorrow. Every single syllable struck like a venomous dagger, piercing the fragile egos of Jang Yinuo and the others hiding nearby. Eavesdropping drained all color violently from Jang Shanyu's face. This threatened the family's golden reputation. Enough! Jang Shanyu's voice hit a dangerous warning octave as he rubbed his aching temples. I will manage this disaster. Stop provoking them. I provoked them? I let out a sharp, mocking scoff. Dad, your logic is flawed. They attacked me like rabid dogs first. I was merely strolling through the mall today. Whatever karmic justice splashed on them, they brought upon themselves. How is their disastrous karma my fault? With zero interest in his petty arguing, I spun around and marched upstairs. Right at the shadowy second-floor landing, I bumped directly into Jang Yinuo. He was fresh out of the shower, hair still dripping. Blood drained from his face, eyes puffy and raw. Spotting me, his entire frame froze like solid ice. Raw malice flashed within his stare. Hey, he rasped out bitterly. I pinched my nose, retreating 2 paces. Absolute revulsion painted my features. Back off! Scrubbed yourself blind, yet that wretched stench still clings to you? Is the filth carved into your bones? Jang Yinuo turned beet red, quivering violently from the utter disgrace. His jaw clenched hard enough to shatter teeth. Fang Xiwan, you have crossed the absolute line. An explosive shriek shattered the air. My precious older sister, Jang Wangxia, storming over fresh from the bath, her face twisted with demonic rage, thrusting a finger at me. Was this your doing? Disaster struck the second you vanished. You cursed jinx. I raised my hands in mock surrender. Jiang Wangsha, throwing wild claims requires actual solid proof. That girl is the deputy mayor's precious daughter. A scandal this massive means police intervention. Got zero evidence tying me to this? Wait for the cops. Honestly, your toxic mouths finally dragged down some rightful karmic retribution upon yourselves. It is simply fate. You. Jiang Wangxia choked on her words, shooting lethal, venomous daggers from her eyes. Silence, every last one of you. Jiang Shanyu's commanding roar echoed up the grand staircase. Has enough madness not plagued this house today? Stomping furiously, Jiang Wangxia dragged a weeping Yinu away, fleeing upstairs. I watched them flee, smiling ruthlessly. The true nightmare had only just begun. Morning broke. Descending the stairs, the dining hall's suffocating tension felt 10 times heavier than yesterday. Jiang Shanyu was nowhere to be seen, likely escaping early to the corporate battlefield. The remaining siblings sat slumped like zombies. Heavy, bruised eye bags proved insomnia had utterly dominated their miserable night. My entrance instantly suffocated the room. Even the nervous clinking of silver against porcelain died down into absolute silence. Yinuo practically shrank into his collar, terrified of making eye contact. I marched directly to his throne, claiming it. A trembling maid rushed over with fresh silver. Dead silence reigned. Absolute power commands absolute obedience. I dined like royalty, my piercing gaze sweeping across Yinuo's pathetic, bloodless expression. Yinuo, Yutong, attending academy today? They instantly froze like statues. I assume you checked the raging academy forums? I flaunted my absolute triumph. You two are rising stars now. The trash prince and garbage princess. In your shoes, I would bury my face forever. Yinuo bit his lip so viciously that crimson drops threatened. Jiang Yutong shot up, eyes blazing with fury. I relentlessly pressed the attack. Particularly you, dear Yinuo. Your golden idol status is completely annihilated. Better wear a hazmat suit outside, lest the raging mobs identify you. Infamy suits you well, Fang Ziwan. Yutong's fragile sanity finally shattered completely. Smashing the mahogany table, she erupted upward. Shut up! Without your vile existence, Yinuo would never have suffered such profound humiliation. I sliced through her tantrum, eyes radiating glacial frost. Yutong, did that toxic waste completely dissolve your tiny brain? Did I command him to become a public target? You sparked this chaotic inferno, yet blame me for the burns, still treating me like some helpless stepping stone? Dropping my chopsticks, I rose. My overwhelming aura instinctively forced Yutong violently backward. Engrave this into your skulls. My predatory stare swept past everyone, freezing the bloodless Suwa in her tracks. I did not return to this wretched estate to tolerate your pathetic abuse. Alone in the shadows, no mortal dared provoke me. Why swallow your poison now just for family ties? A fake sanctuary means absolutely nothing. My tone remained a quiet whisper, yet carried a demonic frost that instantly plunged the dining room into Arctic zero. Whoever dares to cross my path will suffer unimaginable torment until their very last miserable breath. Test my limits if you crave destruction. I kicked back my chair, striding away. Butler Qian, prepare the escort vehicle. Time for academy. The old butler bowed deeply. At once, young master. Behind my back, the room remained paralyzed. Yinuo glared at my fading shadow. The murderous toxicity swirling within his pupils felt physically suffocating. Just you wait, Fang. We shall see if that arrogance survives the academy grounds. Xingchen Academy, the most prestigious elite institution, a golden fortress housing the heirs of every untouchable dynasty in this metropolis. The sleek black limousine halted right at the academy gates. Stepping out casually with my bag, that stiff uniform somehow radiated an untamed, dominating aura. I looked like an absolute predator walking among pampered elite prey. Whispers erupted instantly. Who is that god-tier transfer? They look incredible. That overwhelming pressure is completely insane. Never seen them. A new transfer? Meanwhile, hidden within the crowd, countless wary, calculating gazes locked onto my arrival. Check the school message boards. Whoa, it is Jiang Yinuo's elite crew. Hey, keep your voice down. So that is the true Jiang heir they just brought home. Interesting. He radiates pure danger. Yinuo seriously messed with the wrong guy. Rumor has it, this newcomer orchestrated that massive mall incident yesterday. Every single whisper of gossip flowed perfectly into my sharp ears. I caught every single syllable. A subtle smirk graced my lips. Shen Wanqing truly never fails me. The school message boards were already blazing with drama. "Hey there," a sickeningly sweet voice suddenly called out. I did not even need to look back. Yunuo and Yutong had made their grand entrance. Yunuo plastered on a warm, flawless smile, acting like our previous brutal clashes never even occurred. Yutong stood right beside him, glaring daggers at me like I was her ultimate mortal nemesis. "Let us head inside together. I will guide you to the registration office." Yunuo stepped right into my space, attempting to grab my arm. I dodged his grasp. "Do not bother. I know the way." His hand hung awkwardly in midair. His fake smile remained perfectly frozen, but a sinister shadow danced across his gaze. The surrounding students eagerly zoomed in on our tense standoff. Yutong finally snapped under the pressure. She scoffed with pure venom. "Fang Jiwan, do not be an ungrateful brat. Yinuo is just showing you mercy." Yinuo instantly yanked her backward, shaking his head to silence her outburst. He flashed me a sickeningly polite grin. "We will just go on ahead." I stared at their retreating backs, completely disgusted by their fake sibling bond, and smirked. Let us see how long this pathetic charade lasts. Navigating through the massive campus, I steadily marched straight toward the main administration building. The staff member waiting for me was an older woman sporting gold-rimmed glasses, bearing an expression so deeply bitter she must have been born scowling. She adjusted her frames and scanned me from head to toe, her eyes dripping with the elite arrogance of someone staring down at mere trash. She definitely knew my reputation. Or perhaps Yinuo had already poisoned her mind. "So, you are the infamous Fang Shiwan." Her tone was painfully cold. "Your transfer documents are fully processed. You are placed in Year 3, Class 1, our most prestigious academic room. I demand strict obedience here, so do not drag our elite students down." She venomously emphasized the words elite and dragged down with obvious disgust. Her underlying threat was crystal clear. A lowly country bumpkin like me absolutely did not belong in her glorious kingdom. I remained utterly silent. I simply pierced her with an icy, unblinking stare. My overwhelming aura visibly rattled her. Coughing awkwardly, she quickly extended a schedule. "Here is your official timetable. Your homeroom instructor der Wu's teacher he. The staff room is upstairs on the 2nd floor. Now get out of here." I snatched the paper and spun around. Right at the doorway, I paused and cast a chilling glance backward. "By the way, Teacher Zhang, there is garbage stuck in your teeth." Teacher Zhang instantly petrified, slapping a hand desperately over her mouth as pure, humiliating crimson flooded her cheeks. A dark smirk danced across my face as I casually exited. However, I barely stepped out of the main hall before a massive shadow completely barricaded my path forward. 3 towering thugs rocking varsity basketball jerseys loomed ahead. The leader sported a harsh buzz cut and a brutally vicious glare. It was the varsity team captain, who was basically Fang Area's most pathetic, desperate guard dog. His name was Shiel. "Hey loser, you must be Fang Shi." He folded his massive arms, acting like an immovable mountain right in my way. His 2 meathead goons glared with equal, seething hostility. "Got a death wish? Rumors claim your arrogance is insane. Barely on campus and you are already targeting our beloved Yinuo." He violently lunged forward, trying to use his muscular frame to intimidate me. Tragically for this fool, I still looked down at him. "And what exactly did you do to Fang Area's squad? Consider this your final warning. Keep your filthy hands off Yinuo and Area, or I will break you." I beamed. It was a terrifying smile overflowing with absolute disdain and savage mockery. "I dare you to try." I closed the distance until our faces were inches apart. My gaze sliced through him like razor-sharp blades. My overwhelming bloodlust completely shattered Shiel's fake confidence. His body instinctively retreated in pure terror before his brain even registered the fear. Then, intense humiliation ignited into blazing fury. "Do not get cocky, trash." His pathetic threat barely left his lips before I struck like lightning. I snatched his aggressively pointing finger and violently snapped it backward without hesitation. A sickening crunch echoed through the courtyard. It was the kind of bone-shattering sound that haunts your nightmares. Shiel squealed like a slaughtered pig, instantly collapsing in absolute agony. His 2 muscular lackeys turned ghostly pale but blindly charged forward anyway. I casually dropped Shile's ruined hand while he was still paralyzed by excruciating shock. I launched a devastating, lightning-fast kick directly into his gut. Shiel's massive body launched through the air like a broken ragdoll, violently smashing into the distant concrete planters. He curled into a pathetic, whimpering ball. His henchmen immediately froze, completely paralyzed by sheer, unadulterated horror. With the trash firmly disposed of, I casually dusted off my perfectly clean hands. I slowly shifted my deadly gaze toward his surviving friends. Who is next? They desperately shook their heads, absolutely mute. The entire gathered crowd of students stood utterly paralyzed in breathless silence. Every single eye staring back at me overflowed with deep reverence and bone-chilling dread. This newcomer is an absolute monster. He just instantly destroyed Shile without breaking a single sweat. Ignoring the sea of trembling faces, I resumed my unstoppable march straight toward the senior academic block. I barely reached the classroom entrance when a sudden commotion echoed from within, followed by a painfully recognizable tone. It was Teacher Wania, the notoriously strict physics professor for Year 3, Class 1. Certain arrogant brats actually believe that having wealthy family connections grants them the absolute right to act like total tyrants here. This sanctuary of knowledge isn't your personal theater. Whatever street trash you brought with you, leave it outside. The hostility was palpable. Her dagger-like glare locked onto my figure the second I crossed the threshold. The entire room stared. Mockery, shock, and pure curiosity filled their eyes, and lurking among them was Jang Yinuo. His gaze masked a venomous thrill. I stared right back at Teacher Jang's icy glare, completely unfazed. A tiny mocking smirk danced on my lips. Is this pathetic display really your opening gambit, Jang Wanxia? My dear sister, let our little war commence. Right here in Year 3, Class 1, Xingchan High's elite science division, the absolute apex of academic geniuses and the city's most powerful bloodlines. Standing there under their judgmental gazes and her freezing glare, a wave of déjà vu hit me, just like my past life. The pathetic transfer student who walked on eggshells, constantly bullied and completely isolated. Not this time. Reporting in, I announced, my tone deadpan. Teacher Jang simply adjusted her glasses. Her eyes flashed with absolute malice. She completely blocked the entrance. Student Fang Shiwan, she sneered. Tardy on day 1? Truly pathetic dedication. I casually checked my watch. Teacher, the bell rings in exactly 60 seconds. By your logic, half your beloved class is tardy. Snickers echoed through the room. Teacher Jang's face twisted into an ugly scowl. She never expected public defiance. Such arrogance. Skirting the rules perfectly proves your complete lack of discipline. Elite classes demand absolute perfection. Unlike the filthy slums you crawled out of, the venom was obvious. I forced a grin, though pure frost crept into my eyes. My old mentors taught me to value evidence, teacher. Does this elite academy just run on blind prejudice? You! She choked on her own rage, chest heaving. The humiliation was absolutely consuming her. Swallowing her fury, she aggressively pointed toward a miserable desk shoved beside the trash can. Sit there! Stay quiet and do not pollute the real students. The absolute most degrading spot possible. Unbothered, I casually strolled down the aisle while my new classmates watched with pure mocking delight. Walking past Jang Yinuo, he flashed a fake sympathetic smile, masking his inner victory. Don't sweat it, he whispered. The teacher is just a bit harsh. No big deal. I treated him like absolute air. Dropping into my chair, the nearby elites instantly recoiled like I carried a plague. The physics lecture immediately commenced. The electromagnetic induction concepts were brutally advanced. Her teaching was flawless, yet her piercing gaze constantly snapped back to me, practically dripping with disgust. This formula destroyed last year's national competitors. It is a nightmare. Who dares approach the board? Chalk clacked against the board, revealing an absolute monster of an equation. Dead silence instantly suffocated the room. Even the golden boy, Jang Yinuo, started sweating bullets over the monstrous logic. As the ultimate physics ace, he usually dominated. Today, even the smartest geeks frantically scribbled without a clue. Scanning her terrified victims, her vicious eyes suddenly locked onto my desk. A sinister smirk warped her face. Fang Shiwan, since you crawled out of the country, your intellect must be lacking. But effort is cute. Step up and entertain the class with your absolute best. It was a blatant death trap. She practically salivated at the thought of my public execution. Every single student stared. Jang Yinuo secretly grinned like a maniac, fully aware of the equation's impossible cruelty. If the golden genius couldn't crack it, some random peasant stood absolutely zero chance of survival. Solving it was a total pipe dream. Approaching that board was pure academic suicide. They expected me to cower or fail miserably. Instead, I calmly dropped my pen and rose like a mountain. No problem. My voice echoed through the deathly silent room. Then, while their jaws practically hit the floor, I casually strolled up, snatched the chalk, and unleashed absolute brilliance without a single second of hesitation. Assume the effective length severing the magnetic field is L, traveling at velocity v. Invoking Faraday's absolute law and factoring coil self-inductance. We deploy the infinitesimal calculus element. My calculations raged like a storm. The logic was an unbreakable, impenetrable fortress. It was a god-tier shortcut, crushing the teacher's original method. The chalk blasted the board, beating like a war drum in their hearts. A dead silence choked the room. Only the chalk clicked. Jiang Wan's icy smirk shattered, replaced by pure, unadulterated horror. His method outclassed her answer. Key! How could a rural transfer outcast possess such genius? Jiang Yinuo's eyes were glued to the board in sheer disbelief. He looked deathly pale, spotting a ghost. In under 3 minutes, I circled the solution, dropping the chalk to meet her trembling gaze. Well, Professor Jiang, is my answer flawless? She gaped at the absolute perfection written before her, utterly speechless. Suddenly, a slow clap broke the silence. Others quickly joined in. The scattered clapping rapidly swelled into roaring, undeniable respect. Elite students loved mocking countryside transfers, but even they had to bow to overwhelming talent. I took in her ashen face and his shattered ego, chuckling darkly in my mind. To truly break your enemies, you must crush them at their own game. During my previous life, their vicious schemes completely ruined my college exams. But my miserable wandering led me to master university physics, achieving monumental breakthroughs in advanced fields. This petty high school puzzle was child's play. Let's just call it beginner's luck. The professor finally choked out a response. Just take your seat and focus. Don't get arrogant over one fluke. Ignoring her desperate bark, I strolled back under awestruck gazes. For the remaining period, the rural trash label had vanished entirely from their eyes. The moment the bell tolled, she scrambled out the door like a fleeing coward. I grabbed my bag, seeking fresh air, but an aggressive shadow blocked my path. It was Jiang Yutong from the neighboring class. "What did you do to her?" she shrieked furiously. News travels fast. I simply arched a brow. I solved an equation, nothing more. "Is your professor a sore loser?" "Bullshit. You definitely cheated," she screeched uncontrollably. "Stay away from Yinuo, or you're dead meat." That pathetic threat again. My eyes turned glacial. I closed the distance instantly. Forgot this morning's lesson already? Or begging for another public humiliation? My overwhelming aura and towering frame immediately bleached her face bone white. She flinched backward, desperately raising her voice. "You wouldn't dare!" My tone dropped to absolute zero. "Test me and find out." The lethal intent in my stare paralyzed her. She hissed a parting threat. Dragging a terrified Yinuo away in a frantic rush, I calmly watched their pathetic retreat. "This is merely the prologue, Yinuo. I will dismantle everything you hold dear. Your status, your perfect grades, your sister's love and devotion, I will personally grind it all to dust." Escaping the lunchroom chaos, I reached the rooftop. Shen Wanqing awaited, holding 2 premium bento boxes. "First blood to you," she smirked, handing me a meal. "Rumor says you absolutely crushed that professor." Opening my favorite lunch, I scoffed. "A minor victory. Jiang Wan is just the appetizer." We leaned against the fence, casually dining while viewing our conquered schoolyard territory. "The school forums are exploding," Wanqing noted. "The siblings are hiding out, but their cowardly schemes definitely won't end here." I nodded. Yinuo, his sisters, and the Fang family elite circle. They'd never swallow this defeat. "Oh right," she recalled suddenly. "An update from the underground network. The Fang and Situ clans are burning cash to locate the Phantom Healer. Madame Situ tripled her bounty. That vicious woman had made my previous life a living hell alongside Fang. Remembering her incurable nerve disease and endless agony, I calmly sipped my water. "Tell them the healer's door is permanently shut, and deliver our special present to Deputy Mayor Fang." "A present?" Wanqing arched a brow. "The blackmail dossier on the mayor's precious son? The overseas casino debts and money laundering evidence." A wicked, icy grin stretched across my face. "Let him watch his entire empire burn." Wanqing smiled dangerously, crystal clear. "It's as good as done." Suddenly, my phone buzzed. A highly encrypted ping. Opening it revealed a direct hit from the deep web. A message flashed. The sender? Jiang Yutong. The words dripped with hidden panic and desperate respect. "Dark Ace, are you online? It is an absolute emergency. Someone locked malicious rumors on the Xing'an High forum, and I cannot erase them. The administrator privileges have been completely hijacked. I have exhausted every trick, but nothing works. If the legendary hacker has time, please help. Name your price. Money means absolutely nothing." Staring at the screen, I smirked. I could perfectly imagine her tearing her hair out in absolute despair. I had casually built that unbreakable firewall just last night. Spotting the trap proved her talent, but shattering my code? Impossible. Leaning back, I lazily tapped out a response, demanding a fee that would crush her soul. I can fix it. 500 crypto up front. Her frantic response flashed across my screen immediately. Pure devastation dripped from her text. 500 crypto? That is an absolutely astronomical fortune. Can we negotiate the price? I coldly snapped the window shut. Trash does not get to bargain. Shen Wanqing peeked over my shoulder. You are utterly ruthless, Yushi. 500 crypto would bankrupt her entirely. She dug her own grave, I replied coldly. In my past life, she endlessly erased Zhang Yinuo's filthy mistakes. She even manipulated my academic records. Compared to that hell, this punishment is a profound mercy. Yet, she actually tracked you down. The girl has terrifying potential, Shen Wanqing mused thoughtfully. Should we deliver a truly crushing blow? I disagreed. Not today. A living pawn holds much greater value. I need the perfect bait to drag her shadowy underworld masters into the blinding light. A teenager reaching such dark web mastery hinted at horrifying hidden truths. The digital abyss ran terrifyingly deep. Throughout the day, Fang Area's pathetic gang muttered in shadows. Their venomous little plot was painfully obvious. At dismissal, Bingxi stealthily slipped out of the classroom door ahead of everyone else. Fang's crew lingered like vultures. Sensing their trap, I ordered Wanqing to the dining hall alone. She obeyed instantly, knowing these weaklings meant nothing. Seeing me isolated, Fang's gang vibrated with twisted joy. They came geared up for a double homicide, but our sudden separation played right into their bloody fantasies. This made their pathetic ambush much easier. Zhang Yinuo smirked, stepping up to bait me toward the roof. Seeing me voluntarily walk into their slaughterhouse, their absolute bloodlust over yesterday's humiliation finally boiled over. I stepped onto the concrete and spotted Bingxi. I smirked coldly, eager for another brutal beatdown. Her features twisted with raw hatred, yet the cruel anticipation of my imminent destruction sparked a wicked grin. You think being the true heir matters? You are trash. Just a pathetic toy for our endless amusement. Prepare to suffer the absolute horror of crossing our path. Right on cue, Fang Area's demonic squad swarmed in. Excluding the hacker, they dragged 4 muscle-bound lackeys along. Zhang Yinuo locked the heavy metal door, smiling like a predator. His murderous intent was suffocating. Today marked my total annihilation. Fang snapped her fingers, ordering the goons to encircle me. My expression remained completely icy. Staring down these arrogant insects, I sighed heavily. Stop wasting my precious time. Attack me together. My overwhelming arrogance shattered Fang's fragile ego. Destroy him. Break his legs right now. The brutes lunged forward blindly. I unleashed absolute hell. These monsters had terrorized innocents for far too long. I crushed them into the pavement instantly. Cold, terrifying dread finally pierced Fang's arrogant little crew. His combat power is monstrous. Panicking, Zhang Yinuo glanced at the exit, only to find my imposing figure blocking it. Escaping this rooftop meant stepping right over my dead body. Since dawn, I had plotted this exact bloodbath. Fang's vicious syndicate was never leaving this rooftop alive. Paralyzed by absolute terror, they froze. So, I went on the offensive. One brutal slap each, sending everyone crashing down. Standing guard outside, Zhang Yutong sensed the horrifying silence and frantically hammered the steel frame. "Open this door! Let me in!" A wicked smirk graced my lips. The final prey had willingly surrendered. I twisted the heavy handle. Zhang Yutong witnessed her entire gang agonizing on the concrete. Volcanic rage consumed her. "You absolute suicidal maniac. Do you comprehend the monsters you just provoked?" My eyes flashed. I dragged her inside and violently deadbolted the exit. She glared with unyielding malice. Smack! My palm struck her cheek before another toxic word escaped. "Shut your pathetic mouth. Only my father dares to strike me. I will murder you." She clutched her burning cheek, shrieking like a banshee. Bingxi and the remaining trash stared at Fang's violently ruined hair, their souls leaving their bodies in absolute despair. The buzzing clippers danced in my grip. I smirked coldly. Quit squirming. I am a total amateur at this styling game, but consider yourselves my lucky practice dummies. I will try not to slip. Ba Bingxi instantly shattered into pathetic sobs. "Spare my hair, please. I swear I am done messing with you. Are you genuinely an idiot?" My tone dropped to absolute, freezing zero. Would choking down Fang Aria's locks be a better alternative? Her pathetic wailing stopped dead. Bathed in their utterly shattered expressions, I sheared them down, one target at a time. Even Jiang Yutong met the buzzing blades. Masterpiece finished. I snapped a merciless gallery of their humiliation on my phone. Scrubbing the filth off my hands at the sink, I delivered my parting words. "Jiang Yinuo, Did I not explicitly warn you to keep your distance? 2 days passed, 0 lessons learned. So you use your sisters as pathetic human shields. This magnificent disaster is entirely your fault. In my previous incarnation, those 4 formed a flawless alliance just to drag me through absolute hell. Let us see if that precious sisterhood survives this nightmare. I strolled out, a triumphant smirk lighting up my face. Vengeance is the ultimate mental detox. Down in the dining hall, Shen Wanqing had a feast of my absolute favorites waiting. I slid my screen across the table. Feast your eyes on my latest masterpiece. She grabbed the device, swiping through the gallery of utter devastation. Absolutely breathtaking. Fang Shiwan, you are a visionary, forever dictating the latest high school aesthetic. I effortlessly pivoted the chat back to the Mingda Hall situation. We barely exchanged 2 sentences before my screen violently lit up. Jiang Shanyu. The second the line opened, his furious roar exploded like a raging hurricane. Shen Wanqing and I just shared a silent, amused glance. Right on cue, the campus speakers burst into static. Fang Shiwan of Year 3, Class 1. Drag yourself to the headmaster's suite this instant. The announcer sounded utterly terrified. Every single brat in Fang Aria's pathetic clique boasted aristocratic bloodlines that commanded absolute terror. And now, someone had ruthlessly destroyed their precious heirs in one massive, devastating swoop. Under the blaring speakers, my companion and I played completely deaf, savoring every last bite of our luxurious lunch like absolute royalty. The static shrieked a second time. Fang Shiwan, Year 3, Class 1. Report to the headmaster immediately. The panic in the broadcast was delicious. We drained our glasses before casually rising, practically floating across the courtyard. My device kept convulsing in my pocket with endless, desperate calls. Within the headmaster's inner sanctum, the furious guardians of Fang Aria, Situ Nana, Ba Bingxi, and the rest of the ruined clique had gathered. Jiang Shanyu was trapped inside a terrifying blockade of bloodthirsty elites. Headmaster Lin furiously scrubbed the icy terror from his brow. Fang Aria's patriarch, Fang Guang, violently shattered the silence by smashing the oak desk. Headmaster Lin, is this pathetic establishment a joke? We demand a single wretched student, and you make us wait this agonizing eternity. Do you comprehend the astronomical value of our presence? The headmaster forced a trembling, pathetic grin. Our finest instructor is hunting him down. He will arrive any second. Boom! The heavy mahogany doors practically exploded inward from my devastating kick. Fang Guang hovered way too close to the entrance, completely failing to dodge. The solid wood smashed right into his arrogant face. Jiang Shanyu and the terrified headmaster scrambled to scrape the elite patriarch off the floor. I strolled in like a king, shamelessly claiming the headmaster's leather throne. Catching sight of their tormentor, Fang Aria's ruined squad lunged forward, radiating fake courage. Shielded by their towering parents, the pathetic brats found their fangs. I casually snatched a pristine porcelain teacup and completely obliterated it against the cold marble floor. Fang Aria's crew locked onto my haunting, dead-eyed smirk. The suffocating trauma of the barbershop immediately crashed over them like an icy wave. They immediately cowered behind their guardians, crying in a chaotic chorus. Father, that monster ruined me. Mother, he struck me down. My beautiful hair. Do not let this psycho breathe another breath. Fang Aria hissed with venomous rage. Ba Bingxi chimed in, weeping out absolute victimhood. Father, the Jiang clan treats our legacy like absolute garbage. He mutilated me. He completely humiliated the C2 Empire. C2 Nana shrieked, demanding her spotlight. Jiang Yinuo and Jiang Yutong vibrated with desperate urges to join the execution squad, yet their father's apocalyptic glare forced their mouths shut. They could only pray this massive disaster would permanently banish me from the Jiang household forever. Ba Bingxi's mother, Ba Li, finally erupted with absolute, murderous rage. Jiang Shanyu, your wretched clan owes the Ba Empire a massive blood debt. Look at my battered daughter. The woman stared like a demon ready to rip my throat out. Throughout her ruthless ascent to high society, absolutely nobody had dared to slap her legacy across the face like this. If high-class etiquette was not holding her back, she would strike. Jiang Shanyu, we demand a flawless, devastating resolution. Jiang Shanyu glared daggers, his aura practically screaming out, wondering what past life curse brought him this exact, miserable moment. Bleeding social capital before extracting a single ounce of value from my existence. Hit the floor and beg your peers for mercy. This absolute instant. A dark, mocking chuckle escaped my lips as I kicked my feet up. Beg for mercy? Are you hallucinating? Beside me, Shen Wanqing actually snickered out loud. My freezing gaze swept the hostile war room. Jiang Shanyu, before demanding my total submission, did it ever cross your mind to ask what sparked my merciless rampage? I paused deliberately. Actually, never mind. Apparently, pure logic means absolutely nothing regarding these precious little darlings. Bai Lily broke the silence, her chest heaving with rage. Hair is a girl's life. How can a teenager be so unbelievably vicious? Why not report it to the teachers or the principal? A mocking smile crossed my lips. The principal is your lapdog. If the teachers actually cared, those poor victims wouldn't have been forced to transfer out. Situjie glared at Jiang Shanyu, stepping aggressively forward. A simple sorry will not cut it. This brat spat directly on the Situ family's honor. Honestly, it was just a petty high school squabble. These vultures were just using it to extort the Jiang family. Jiang Shanyu wanted my apology to protect his precious alliances, but I refused to bow. Choking on his own fury, he demanded the truth from Jiang Yutong instead. Jiang Yikong and Jiang Yinuo squirmed under his gaze, sweating bullets as they desperately stalled for time. I hated wasting time. They ambushed me on the roof, planning to teach me a painful lesson. So out of sheer kindness, I gave them a little haircut. You absolute liar. You attacked us immediately. Bai Qingxi shrieked, doubling down on her victim act. You struck me first. When Feng Ya and Situ Nana arrived, you battered them too. You brutally beat your own siblings, then chopped off our hair. How could you be such a monster? Bai Qingxi wailed, sobbing through her crocodile tears. Bai Lili fiercely shielded her daughter. Look at Feng Xiwan. He is completely unhurt. Open your blind eyes. Feng Ya is bleeding too. They are all battered. Jiang Shanyu rubbed his throbbing temples. Kids fight sometimes. It is normal youth rebellion. Let's not shatter our alliance over this. He shot me a deadly glare. Feng Xiwan, apologize immediately. I stood tall, meeting his icy stare. Apologize? In your dreams. If you want my submission, just disown me instead. A sharp pain pierced Jiang Shanyu's chest, forcing him to breathe slowly. The mighty Tong family backed this rebellious boy. He simply could not afford to unleash his wrath. Xiwan, swallow your pride and apologize. Why? I did nothing wrong. As I turned to walk away, Bai Lili blocked my path. Did I say you were dismissed? We aren't finished here. Who gave you permission to walk away? Principal Lin instantly rushed to block the exit. Suddenly, Shen Wanqing moved, brutally kicking the principal into the doorframe. I ruthlessly grabbed Bai Lili's pointing finger. Didn't anyone teach you that pointing is incredibly rude? I murmured, crushing her bone. Ah, let go of me. Honestly, I meant to stay out of the mud. Jiang Shanyu could have handled the trash, but she practically begged for destruction. Isn't the truth obvious? You parents know exactly what monsters your daughters are here. I am hardly their first innocent prey. If this scandal leaks, will the Bai family survive the fallout? My deadly gaze shifted to Feng Guang and Situ Ji. Deputy Mayor Feng, still feeling secure in your high throne? My voice dropped below freezing. It was time for absolute war. Leaning back into my chair like a king, I raised my hand. Wanqing immediately presented a smartphone. The screen displayed years of brutal bullying evidence orchestrated by Feng Ya's gang. One glance drained the color from the mayor's face. Utter disbelief consumed him. He had personally buried these dark secrets. How could this untouchable data resurface? Bai Lili and the elite parents exchanged horrified glances, their masks slipping away. Absolute terror replaced their arrogant power. I could have saved this trump card, but, Mayor Feng, relax. Today, I simply want an apology. Hearing that, Feng Guang desperately yanked his precious daughter forward. These spoiled princesses had never faced consequences. Apologizing to their own punching bag? It was utterly unthinkable. But survival trumped pride. Feng Guang violently forced his daughter's head down. The other parents instantly followed suit. Watching their arrogant faces crumble in absolute humiliation was intoxicating. But this wasn't enough. I wanted them kneeling. Empty words meant absolutely nothing to me. In my previous life, they helped Jiang Yinuo mercilessly break me. They forced me to kneel countless times. Now, they would taste that exact despair. Imagining their shattered pride and desperate tears sent a thrilling rush of pure satisfaction through my veins. My demand exploded like a grenade. Kneel and beg. The bullies, the mayor, and every elite parent froze in sheer horror. This is crossing the line. In your dreams, trash. Feng Ya screamed, eyes blazing crimson. Enough. Don't push your luck, boy. Bai Lili hissed venomously. Too far? I mockingly waved the phone in the air. Your precious angels have done far worse. But sure, feel free to refuse me. Band together and see if your fragile empires survive the storm. Bai Lili and the aristocrats choked, looking like they had swallowed poison. The stakes were absolutely terrifying. Fang Guang and the rest desperately looked toward Jiang Shanyu. Sweating bullets, Jiang Shanyu forced the words out. Fang Xuan, let it go. You walked away completely unharmed today. Shen Wanqing casually snatched a blade from the principal's desk. Her voice was chillingly calm. What if I stab you right now? Just enough to make you bleed. Then I will just casually say sorry. We would be even then, would we not? Since you would not be dead. Jiang Shanyu swallowed hard, paralyzed by fear. This mysterious woman had pushed their limits too far. C2GA's patience completely snapped. You brats talk too loudly. This city still belongs to us. Destroying each other benefits absolutely no one. C2G, was it? I mocked effortlessly. Your entire bloodline relies on Mingde Hall's medicine to survive. Before he could even blink, Shen Wanqing whipped out her phone. She called Mingde Hall right to their faces, instantly severing the C2 and Fang family's lifelines. C2G just scoffed in pure arrogance. You honestly think Mingde Hall obeys trash like you? What an absolute joke. They are medical legends. They are not just clinics. Mingde Hall controls endless resources, ruled by an absolute ghost of a divine healer. Even absolute titans dropped to their knees, begging for their cures. Underworld bosses who dared defy them vanished without a single trace overnight. Their terrifying influence is simply beyond imagination. But the exact second Shen Wanqing hung up, C2 and Fang Guang's phones violently vibrated. A death sentence from Mingde Hall. Their supply chains were completely obliterated. Mingde Hall actually obeyed her command. Fang Guang's eyes practically bulged out of his skull in mute horror. Bai Li trembled for another reason entirely. The Bai family had begged Mingde Hall for years, failing every single time. C2G's arrogant tone instantly shattered. This is a massive misunderstanding. We will apologize. Shen Wanqing just stared down at them like absolute trash. On your knees. Or the Situ and Fang bloodlines will be wiped from existence. She let out a delicate cough, lifting her arrogant chin. A child's absolute failure is the parent's fault. We will not make the elders kneel. Consider that an act of extreme mercy. Bai Li viciously seized Bai Qingxi's arm. Get down and beg. Fang Guang and the elders panicked, screaming at their heirs to submit. But Fang Area and her pathetic crew furiously fought back, pride entirely blinding them. Bai Li's sanity completely shattered. A brutal slap echoed as she struck Bai Qingxi. Kneel. If you do not bow today, you are dead to this family. I will gladly disown you. Offending Mingde Hall meant their glorious capital city ambitions would turn to absolute ashes. Or worse, their entire lineage could be completely erased. Bai Qingxi froze, terrified by the murderous look in her mother's eyes. The burning humiliation was absolutely soul-crushing. Yet finally, her knees slammed into the cold floor. Through gritted teeth, she forced out, I am so sorry. I made a catastrophic mistake. Seeing that, Fang Area and the rest finally cracked under the crushing pressure. They fell to their knees, spitting out their apologies like bitter poison. Forgive us. Fang Area screamed the last syllable in pure defiance. Are you finally satisfied? She tried to stand up. Who gave you permission to rise? Before the echo faded, Fang Guang lunged violently. He shoved Fang Area back to the floor, eyes blazing with fury. We already surrendered our pride. What else could you possibly want? He roared, glaring daggers at me. I propped my chin up with an arrogant smirk. The cast is not fully assembled yet. We wait until all the actors arrive. When every single apology is delivered, then you can stand. My attackers today were far more than just this pathetic bunch. Fang Area's 4 little lackeys were still missing, and I absolutely refused to show them any mercy. Sweating profusely, Principal Lin had absolutely no choice. His trembling hands triggered the intercom to summon the 4 boys. Hearing the broadcast, the 4 completely misunderstood the situation. They thought it was a routine chat. After all, Fang Area's faction practically ruled this entire academy. Their malicious lies were fully prepared. The moment they stepped inside, they planned to absolutely bury me in false accusations. But the instant they crossed the principal's doorway, the sight before them froze the blood in their veins. They frantically rubbed their eyes in sheer terror. The untouchable Fang Area and her elite crew were kneeling on the floor before me. Had the entire world completely lost its mind? How was this nightmare real? Get in here right now. Shaking like leaves, the 4 dragged themselves behind Fang Area's kneeling squad. They stammered, Principal? I just stared them down. Drop to your knees and beg. The faster you submit, the faster this absolute joke ends. Without a second thought, the 4 boys collapsed onto their knees in total submission. Humiliation burned in their chests. But if the apex predators had already surrendered, they were utterly powerless. We are so sorry. Please spare us. Perfect. Now, let us discuss your absolute ruin. Fang Arya snapped her head up, her eyes dripping with pure venom. I casually reached down, mockingly patting her cheek. What is that look? Still feeling rebellious? Did you honestly think a pathetic apology would save you? Jiang Yunuo looked absolutely physically sick. His only desperate desire was to escape this suffocating nightmare immediately. He never imagined a supreme entity was actually backing my every move. The toxic jealousy was completely tearing his soul apart. Shen Wanqing's presence utterly crushed my chances of escaping the cursed Jiang family. But staying? That would only make my survival an absolute nightmare. In the end, all 8 of those arrogant bullies caught severe disciplinary strikes on their permanent records. I held back on expulsion. True despair had only just begun. Principal Lin exhaled sharply. A dangerously close call. He thought he had survived the storm. Then my cold gaze locked onto him. Fang's ruthless faction had terrorized innocent students for years. Victims begged for help in this exact office, yet he shamelessly shielded their tormentors every single time. Scum like him had no right ruling this academy. So, will you vanish quietly, or do we drag you out? The principal froze like a statue. He desperately glanced at Fang Guang, begging for a lifeline. But Fang Guang would never risk our wrath for a pawn. Standing tall with fake righteousness, he declared, I agree completely. This academy needs cleansing. I will rally the elite families to expose this corrupt principal's filthy misdeeds. Shielding trash is an unforgivable sin. With that final blow, Shen Wanqing and I strode out the door. Returning to class, I accessed the academy network and uploaded the bullies' humiliating new appearances for everyone. Those tyrants were already infamous, but I generously tagged their full names and class ranks. The forums were already an absolute powder keg. The upload detonated instantly. Seeing Fang and his crew sporting those pathetic ruined hairstyles, countless victims felt a thrilling surge of silent victory. These absolute monsters had ruled the school like kings, and finally, someone shattered their untouchable reign. The flooded comment section chanted one single truth: karma never misses. After groveling on their knees, Fang's group crawled back home only to face a terrifying hurricane of wrath. Fang and Situ Nana had severed Situ Ji's vital lifeline to Ming Dahal's divine medicine. They were beaten half to death. The Fang and Situ bloodlines only grasped their high society power through a deeply woven marriage pact. If Situ Ji perished, the ironclad chains binding their 2 glorious houses would completely shatter. Then came Bai Qingxi. The Bai clan's aggressive conquest of the capital was doomed the second they crossed Ming Dahal. Even if the hall stayed completely passive, their grand ambitions would crash into impossible mountain-like walls. Bai Qingxi's father caught the catastrophic news and rushed back, delivering a vicious beating. Jiang Yutong was similarly dragged back. Every single heir was summoned back to the estate, except Jiang Mengling, who was away on set. When Jiang Wanxia and the sisters returned, they witnessed the absolute devastation inflicted upon Jiang Yunuo and Jiang Yutong's heads. Absolute chaos erupted. Who dared do this? Yunuo stood trembling in silence. Instantly, their venomous accusations locked dead onto me. Who else but that cursed Jinx? He has ruined our peace since the day he returned. Wanxia shrieked first, followed by Xia. That vile little snake. Silence. Jiang Shanyi's thunderous roar echoed as his furious glare locked onto Yunuo. Yunuo, can you survive one single day without igniting a disaster? Did I not strictly command you to avoid Fang Shuan? Are you completely deaf? The patriarch trembled with explosive rage. Every foolish provocation, every single hint of my absolute detachment from this bloodline, it piled fuel onto his blazing wrath. Reaching his absolute limit, he marched straight toward Yunuo and delivered a devastating slap. Crack! And another. The entire household froze in sheer terror. This terrifying outbreak was totally unprecedented. Father, how could you strike dear Yunuo? Third sister cried out. Shut your mouth, Shanyi roared. You are completely blind to the truth, so keep quiet. Still radiating immense fury, the patriarch laid out the midday massacre, issuing a bone-chilling ultimate warning to his foolish daughters. Yunuo, he is your elder brother. Learn your pathetic place. I am giving you all one final absolute warning. Show him proper respect. If any of you dare provoke him again and court death, I will show absolutely zero mercy. Every second suffocated Yunuo like a crushing weight. Did Fang Shiwan truly possess a divine connection to Ming Dahal? Shanyi then revealed the terrifying reality to them. As a doctor, hearing Ming Dahal made Sister Xia's eyes glow with wild greed. Every medical practitioner's wildest fantasy was joining the hall's elite sanctuaries, hoping to simply glimpse the legendary phantom healer. Swallowing her pride, she whispered, "Father, rest easy. We will cherish him deeply. He will never feel isolated in this house again." She craved a golden ticket into Mingda Hall and blindly prayed I would be her magical stepping stone. It would elevate her mundane career to godlike heights. Yinuo stared blankly at fourth sister, utterly paralyzed by her sudden betrayal. They had sworn eternal loyalty, sworn he was their one and only true brother. They promised to infinitely reject Fang Shiwan. How many mere days had it been? An icy, soul-crushing terror gripped Yinuo's heart. His ultimate, darkest nightmare was manifesting. I was systematically devouring every single thing he cherished. Catching Yinuo's despairing gaze, Wanxia delivered a sharp, highly calculated cough. Only then did fourth sister suddenly remember her beloved fake brother was standing right there. Yet, her eyes held absolutely zero remorse. Shifting focus to the scandal, she scolded him. "Yinuo, how could you sink so low? Harassing peers. If this leaks, the Zhang family's reputation will shatter. Did you even consider our honor?" Yet, their childhood bond remained strong. Her harsh scolding gently faded away. "Dad speaks the truth. Shiwan has returned home. Embrace your new brother." Hearing this, Yinuo's stomach churned violently. A brother? Never. He craved the throne alone, ruling as the Zhang family's absolute sole young master. Swallowing his bitter pride, he forced a pathetic, trembling smile and whispered softly, "Understood." Jiangya nodded firmly. "It is decided then. We obey father's command. As loving sisters, we shall welcome Shiwan properly." Jiangya ruled the family's crumbling corporate empire. Mingda's overwhelming power was not just medical, it dominated the entire business realm. Securing Mingda's backing meant their dying company would resurrect, turning their capital conquest fantasy into absolute reality. Devastating strikes rained down. Fourth sister betrayed him, and now second sister fiercely defended my return. Pure terror gripped Yinuo. His precious stolen kingdom was crumbling into dust before his eyes. Witnessing his daughter's strategic wisdom, Father Zhang Shanui's blazing wrath finally cooled. He gave Yinuo a reassuring look. "Son, we share a decade of memories. Do not overthink this transition. You remain my child." Yinuo nodded in silent submission. "I will host a legendary homecoming banquet, an epic celebration. The entirety of City A must recognize Fun Jiwan as my true bloodline. My relationship with the family was severely fractured. This spectacular feast would bridge our bitter divide. Yinuo, we will announce your adoption too. Our cherished emotional bond eclipses mere genetics completely. You are ours." Yet with every comforting word, absolute frost consumed Yinuo's dark heart. A massive gala for Shiwan? It was a knife to his ego. Nobody cared about his bleeding pride. A freezing truth crashed over him. For the first time, nobody dared defy the patriarch's absolute decree. Who could possibly reject the immense fortune and godlike influence Mingda offered them? After father vanished, Yinuo cunningly swiped off his wig, desperately praying his sisters would spark a defensive rebellion. Wanxia and the rest gasped in sheer horror. "Yinuo, your hair!" His eyes gleamed with calculated sorrow. He feigned panic. "It is nothing. My brother is innocent. The blame is entirely mine." Wanxia practically detonated with fury, but calculating Jiangya instantly intercepted. "Understood, Yinuo. Please retreat to your chambers now." Cornered and furious, Yinuo slowly spun around, ensuring his carefully crafted crocodile tears caught the harsh light perfectly. Yutong and Wanxia desperately wanted to chase him. Yet, cold-hearted Xia physically blocked their path. Destiny demanded sacrifices. To forge a genuine bond with me, coddling the fake prince had to end. Wanxia glared at the sealed door, utterly drained. "Xia, Mingling, we swore to cancel that wretched homecoming feast. We vowed eternal loyalty to Yinuo. You witnessed the brutal devastation done to his poor head. Fangi destroyed him. Yet you stand paralyzed. Wanxia, do you even comprehend the monstrous power Mingda wields?" Xia adjusted her gleaming glasses with sharp ambition. "Our corporate empire is bleeding out daily. Securing Mingda's supreme alliance instantly crowns us the absolute rulers of City A. Conquering the capital is finally within our grasp." Xia hungered to dominate the central markets before dying. Yinuo was precious, but supremacy mattered more. Besides, we already gifted that boy a decadent, ultra-luxurious existence. But our decade of cherished memories Mingling brutally sliced through her naive words. "Wanxia, if this empire shatters, your lavish lifestyle instantly turns to worthless ash. Without massive wealth, forget your precious designer bags. Will sweet childhood memories buy your supreme luxury?" Wanxia froze in defeated silence. Yutong surrendered too. Their glittering, spoiled reality demanded cold corporate blood. Affection lost to ambition. Guided by Janggia's ruthless logic, nobody climbed those stairs to soothe his shattered ego. Lurking upstairs, Yinuo devoured their treacherous words like bitter poison. His soul froze into absolute darkness. He honestly expected one foolish sister to save him. He prepared a masterful theatrical tragedy, ready to falsely expose my ruthless humiliation and stolen dignity. As dusk fell, I strutted home from academy. Stepping inside, a highly peculiar atmosphere greeted my return. The entire pathetic cast was gathered, minus Jang mangling on her movie set. Su Yuiwa approached instantly, wielding a perfectly rehearsed, sickeningly sweet smile. Shiwan, welcome home. How was your first day at the academy? You must be exhausted. I gave her zero reaction, gliding right past. The others actually faked warm greetings, acting like our previous war had never even happened. Take a seat right here. Even the fake son, Jang Yinuo, forced a disgustingly eager tone. He finally read the room. Since his fate was sealed, playing the absolute victim was his ultimate survival tactic. Pushing my buttons now would only alienate his precious family further. Our father, Jang Shanyu, observed this fake harmony with smug satisfaction. The picture-perfect family illusion. Jang Yinuo even wore a wig, hiding the pathetic haircut I had forced upon him. What a devastating pity. I claimed my throne, but as I brushed past Jang Yinuo, my hand perfectly accidentally swatted that tragic wig straight to the floor. He shrieked like a kicked dog, dropping to his knees to desperately retrieve it. Oh, how incredibly clumsy of me. I blinked with mocking innocence. His trembling eyes begged his beloved sisters for backup, but pure, suffocating silence answered his silent plea. Choking down his utter humiliation, he plastered on a grotesquely twisted smile. I leaned in, whispering softly, "You literally reek of tragic misfortune. I should probably step back." Though I murmured it, those razor-sharp words pierced the deadly quiet room like shattering glass. Jiang Wanxia always harbored the most venom for me. The bait worked flawlessly, and her fragile patience completely shattered. What the hell does that mean? But Jang Shanyu silenced her instantly, his glare a lethal warning. Is that any way to address your brother? Her obsessive devotion to Jang Yinuo blinded her entirely, making her foolishly ignore the terrifying absolute power of Ming Hall. Jang Shanyu forced a sickeningly diplomatic grin. Shiwan, your eldest sister is just stressed today. Please, do not take it to heart. A dark smirk crossed my lips. Is she still traumatized by that little sewage bath? I threw my hands up. Didn't she run to the authorities? How did that investigation turn out? She knows damn well her toxic attitude created endless enemies. Taking a garbage shower was absolute destiny. Seriously, who could be surprised? Jiang Wanxia gasped for air, practically choking on her own volcanic, soul-crushing rage. Her pathetic investigation found absolutely zero clues, so I became her convenient punching bag. Whatever. Breathing the same air as you people is utterly exhausting. Such toxic energy. With those words, I pushed my chair back to leave. Shiwan, wait. We desperately need to discuss your grand homecoming banquet. We absolutely need your royal approval on the finer details. Jiang Shanyu pleaded desperately. The exact instant they discovered Shen Wanqing's terrifying backing from Ming Hall, suddenly I transformed into the golden child they worshipped. Yesterday, they wouldn't lift a single finger to acknowledge my return. Discuss? What pathetic minor details could we possibly discuss? Shiwan, do not test my absolute limits, Jiang Wanxia screeched. Our father's aura darkened dangerously. Leave this room and apologize to Shiwan immediately. His blazing wrath was authentic. Stripped of her pride, Jiang Wanxia swallowed the ultimate humiliation and bowed her heavy head. Defeated, she scurried into the shadows, shrinking away like a completely terrified cornered mouse. With her fangs violently removed, she stayed completely mute. But my revenge was just starting. I threw out the ultimate bait, the grand homecoming banquet. When my true bloodline is finally revealed, will it completely shatter your heart, dear brother? Jang Yinuo forced a smile that looked agonizingly painful. Never. I am completely thrilled you returned. You possess the true, absolute bloodline after all. And Jiang Wanxia, why the gloomy face? Does my grand debut completely upset you? Or did you just forget how to smile? Nonsense. You're imagining things. Your sister is absolutely overflowing with pure joy. Jang Yinuo, a highly friendly warning. Keep your pathetic distance at the grand gala. Your mere presence beside me simply degrades my sheer value. Leaving those devastating words behind, I confidently ascended the stairs. The remaining family members glared at their cold dinners, practically trembling from their suppressed, volcanic fury. I orchestrated that entire meal flawlessly with razor-sharp mockery. Not one of them dared to interrogate me about Ming Hall's terrifying shadow. Greed eventually conquered logic. Desperate for ultimate power, Zhang Shanyu crept upstairs, tapping anxiously against my heavy bedroom door. I was enjoying a screen call with Shen Wanqing. The sudden intrusion sparked my absolute irritation. I yanked the door wide, glaring dangerously. What is it now? I demand an elite introduction to Ming Hall. A dark scoff escaped me. My icy gaze offered absolutely zero mercy. An introduction to Ming Hall, as if this pathetic family deserves such legendary grace. The sheer ruthlessness of my words left him completely paralyzed. He froze like a crumbling statue, completely speechless. Lacking the patience for trash, I slammed the heavy door directly in his shocked face. His hidden fury fully erupted. His leg twitched to shatter the wood, but the terrifying shadow of Ming Hall paralyzed his bones. He violently choked down his absolute humiliation. Deep in the shadows, Zhang Yutong sneaked into Zhang Yinuo's hidden sanctuary. She discovered him trembling before the mirror, drowning in dark despair. Devastating sorrow crushed her gentle heart. Panicking at the sudden sound, he frantically yanked his pathetic wig over his completely ruined hair. "Yutong, why did you come?" She closed the distance, her trembling fingers gently wiping away the bitter, hot tears streaming down his face. "Please forgive me," she whispered brokenly. "I completely failed to shield you from his cruelty." A fresh storm of tears broke free as he weakly shook his head. "Don't blame yourself," Yutong scoffed bitterly. "He just has connections at Mingdeal. He's still that same pathetic country bumpkin deep down. Like he actually possesses the power to make Mingdeal collaborate with us? Father is just blinded by absolute desperation right now, grasping at straws. But Yinuo, I swear to you, I will always protect you. I'll destroy his entire high school life." Yutong's venomous hatred for me was practically etched into her soul. Yinuo bit his lip, trembling slightly. "Sister, what about those viral campus forum threads today? Wan Xia claims they're completely unerasable. While those 3 threads exist, we'll be laughingstocks. First that humiliating sewage disaster, and now this nightmare." The sheer humiliation made Yinuo grind his teeth in pure agony. Yutong's face was equally twisted in rage. Vicious comments were multiplying by the second. Yinuo's fragile ego simply couldn't handle the relentless digital assault anymore. Those mocking glares from his peers were literally destroying him. Could the legendary Dark Ace wipe them out? But 500 crypto is an absolute fortune. Yet, her own scandalous photos were exposed up there too. Crushed by that terrifying reality, Yutong finally snapped. Those threads had to vanish, or their social lives were permanently doomed. Yinuo quickly dragged Fang Area's crew into a private chat, pitching the erasure plan. Hearing salvation was actually possible, the entire bully squad felt a massive wave of relief. But the moment that astronomical price tag dropped, their hopeful smiles instantly shattered into pure despair. Sure, they were filthy rich heirs, but their strict parents only handed out basic monthly allowances. Bleeding their wallets dry, they somehow pooled the cash together. Wasting no time, Yutong logged into the dark web. Staring at Yutong's pathetic request, a dark smirk crossed my face. I'd accept. Cash is cash, right? But my old rate was 500 crypto for a single hit. 3 viral threads demanded totally different math. I'd be generous. 200 million cash would suffice. Hitting send, I imagined the absolute chaos. On their end, Yinuo practically rocketed out of his seat. They had barely scavenged 100 million. Following today's parental blow-up, begging for extra cash was a death sentence. And now, the price had doubled. How could they possibly spawn that kind of money? Yutong desperately defended her idol, insisting Dark Ace was the underground's absolute king, and his elite skills demanded premium rates. Honestly, checking his legendary track record, this fee was considered mere pocket change. She'd wasted 48 hours begging lesser hackers, and every single one failed miserably. Ironically, the firewall I had built around those posts wasn't even my best work. Their pathetic failures boiled down to one brutal truth. Yutong's reputation in the cyber underworld was absolute garbage. She could only attract bottom-tier script kiddies. The true digital gods wouldn't even cast a single glance in her direction. The only reason she possessed Dark Ace's contact was simple. I had intentionally baited her with it while infiltrating Yinuo's pathetic little circle. The bully squad was completely paralyzed. 24 hours later, their ransom had unexpectedly skyrocketed. Panic-stricken, they begged Yutong to haggle the price down, but she flatly refused. The dark web wasn't some cheap flea market. Bargaining with a cyber god was pure suicide. Yet, watching Yinuo sob pathetically finally broke her stubborn resolve. Trembling, She sent the discount request to Dark Ace. Reading her pathetic plea, a dark, villainous laugh escaped my lips. Without hesitating, I ruthlessly typed back, 300 million. Yunuo stared at the glowing screen, his soul practically leaving his body. Who attempts a negotiation only to get slapped with a penalty fee? Yutong's cheeks burned with supreme humiliation. That 100 million hike was her so-called idol stepping directly on her pride. Yunuo's crew was bleeding internally, but nobody possessed the guts to challenge the cyber god again. Utterly defeated and cornered by fate, they surrendered to the 300 million ransom just to erase their massive shame. Even after draining every last hidden piggy bank, they were still desperately short on funds. Swallowing their pride, they crawled to their parents for salvation. Naturally, the families coughed up the cash. Those viral threads were destroying their corporate reputations, too. Allowing that digital poison to exist online was a one-way ticket to complete societal ruin. 60 seconds after the transfer cleared, the cursed campus threads vanished like ghosts. Yutong's jaw dropped at the absolute god-tier speed. Her obsessive worship for Dark Ace exploded, even as her wallet wept tears of pure, agonizing blood. The very next morning, I descended the stairs to a bizarre sight. The entire family sat frozen at the dining table. Nobody touched their chopsticks. They were waiting for me. Suddenly, sickeningly sweet smiles plastered their faces. They fawned over me, desperately acting out the illusion of a perfect, adoring family. I almost choked back a dark laugh. The Tang family and Mingdiel's combined influence was truly terrifying. These exact same monsters who had crushed me in my past life, who had mocked my existence and practically danced on my grave, were now eagerly wagging their tails at my feet like obedient mutts. But their pathetic fake kindness truly disgusted me. That familial love I once bled for, I didn't need it anymore. Especially not from this toxic trash. Sitting down, I made sure to make their breakfast a living hell. The second Yunuo reached for a dish, I instantly snatched it away. If he even dared to look at me sideways, I ruthlessly shut him down. Why obsess over everything I claim? Someone chimed in. Perhaps your fates are simply destined to clash. Seeing Wanya blindly defend Jang Yunuo, I locked my icy gaze dead on her. Wanya, hiding some scandalous secret with Jang Yunuo? Why else blindly worship a mere adopted brother? Jang Yunuo leaned close to her, whispering his venom. Ignore his crass nature. He's just an uncultured peasant. He cluelessly thought I was deaf. Heard that, I stated, my voice freezing the air. Manners? You branded me a rural outcast, remember? I smirked. Jang Yunuo, did your selective memory strike again? My so-called parents were too busy pampering a fake like you. Surging up, I ruthlessly hurled the table. I strode out, adrenaline blazing. Their terrified shrieks echoed behind me, absolute music to my ears. Trembling violently at the shattered mess, Sueha finally erupted in a hysterical fit of absolute rage. This is the savage you welcomed back. Witness this destruction. Our entire sanctuary is ruined now. Jiang Shanyu glared with absolute zero eyes. Silence your useless whining. Smack. A brutal backhand silenced her. Did my previous warnings mean absolutely nothing? His blazing fury stems from your maternal failure. You neglected his homecoming. Naturally, his heart bred venomous hatred. Is basic logic beyond your grasp? Clutching her stinging cheek, Sueha choked back her bitter complaints. He pivoted fiercely to Wanya. Some elder sister. You know Fun Shiwan controls Ming Dehal, yet you provoke him? Surveying the absolute wreckage, Wanya felt her own seething resentment threatening to explode completely. Jang Yunuo murmured timidly. Father, my apologies. I never predicted such a monstrous overreaction. You? What? Silence. Shan Yu snapped ruthlessly. Yunuo, know your fragile place here. His blazing hatred toward you is completely justified. Stop poking the dragon and remain invisible. Shan Yu practically roared in rage. Noticing Yunuo's ghastly pale expression, he remembered the crucial B family alliance. Instantly, his fierce aura softened slightly. Forgive my brutal temper. Yunuo, understand my agonizing struggle to maintain harmony between you two. Decades of nurturing you. We genuinely despise seeing you endure any hardship. Yunuo nodded like a loyal puppy, hiding his venomous sneer. 2 entire months vanished like smoke in the wind. Daily, I orchestrated pure pandemonium, transforming the Jiang mansion into a living hellscape. Meanwhile, those greedy sisters relentlessly cornered me, desperately begging for that golden Ming Hall introduction. I effortlessly shattered every scheme. They even pathetically begged Shan'an, grasping at absolute emptiness. Their collective sanity crumbled. Shan Yu's once desperate affection froze into a menacing, calculated glacier. Only the Tang family's towering shadow restrained his lethal hand. Suddenly, Wang Xia ruthlessly hammered the desk. A completely blank test. You absolute parasite draining our academy. Livestock could literally score higher. Why attempt the grand exams? Crawl back to your filthy farmlands. She vibrated with sheer, unadulterated fury. Yet, terrified of Shen Wanqing and Mingdal's power, she channeled her toxic rage solely upon me. Honestly, seeing Wang Xia's 2-month facade violently shatter mid-lecture was a delightfully unexpected spectacle. Yinuo eagerly seized his moment to strike. Professor, remember Fen Qiwan's tragically uncultured rural upbringing. Our elite curriculum completely overwhelms him. Such profound academic failure is utterly expected. Precisely, Professor. Expecting a dirt-poor nobody to grasp elite knowledge is simply ridiculous. He literally bribed his way inside. Disgusting. This filthy parasite is actively destroying our class rankings. Bingji ruthlessly joined the verbal slaughter, her thirst for vengeance blazing from that fateful day. The floodgates shattered. Like bloodthirsty hounds, Situnana and Fang Adia viciously swarmed in to attack. Wang Xia permitted the toxic bullying, locking her predatory gaze on me, desperately craving my explosive meltdown. But I remained an absolute statue of ice. Their useless barking bounced off, fueling her psychotic rage even further. Are you entirely shameless? Respect the academy. Professor, I sliced through her rant. Your test was insultingly simple. I ignore your lectures because your pathetic insights offer absolutely zero value to my supreme knowledge. You possess absolutely zero wisdom. Instantly, a suffocating silence choked the entire classroom. My legendary disrespect completely paralyzed everyone. Suddenly, Shen Wanqing shattered the silence with a beautiful, mocking laugh. Spare her fragile ego. Professor Zhang is tragically incompetent. Sure, but surely she recycles oxygen well enough. We must pity the untalented. Her face twisted with thunderous rage. Are my lectures truly beneath you? Such absolute arrogance. You claim to have mastered my syllabus? Then prove it with this exam. Let us witness if you are a peerless genius or a mere fraud. I leaned back, completely unbothered. It is simply too boring. Zhang Yinuo's eyes gleamed with pure malice. If it is so boring, let us raise the stakes. A high-stakes wager? I had endured 2 months here. I had never once paid attention to his tedious lectures. Every single exam was submitted completely blank, save for one legendary equation solved on my very first day. He was utterly convinced it was a fluke. He thought I had merely memorized the answer beforehand. After 2 months of simmering hatred, Zhang Yinuo craved revenge. This was his golden chance to strike. A wager? My posture shifted, a spark of genuine amusement igniting. Now you speak my language. Actually, why limit this to us? I challenged the room. Where is the thrill in a duel? Let the whole class bleed. Zhang Yinuo sneered with absolute certainty. Beat my perfect score and I will scrub the academy toilets for 30 days. Fail, and that miserable fate is yours, the supreme commander of sanitation. I scoffed in total disgust. Such childish stakes were beneath a master. Sensing my boredom, his mockery grew louder. What is wrong, trembling? Did you not claim infinite wisdom just seconds ago? If you are truly a prodigy, accept this glorious challenge. Knowing Yinuo's flawlessly high score, the wicked instructor immediately joined the ambush. Then state your absolute grand conditions. We will match your wildest demands. A wicked smirk danced across my lips. Academy life was suffocatingly dull, yet these fools were begging to entertain me. I paused, letting the tension build. I demand real weight. How about the noble estates under your names? The young master froze entirely. He never anticipated such a cutthroat gamble. Real estate was his final safety net. Should the powerful family ever exile him, those lavish properties were his sole lifeline to survival in this ruthless world. He gritted his teeth. Fine, it is a bet, but you only possess 2 miserable estates. How will you match us? The instructor flashed him a cunning, hidden glance. Patience. She had personally graded the young master's near-perfect examination. His academic performance was truly flawless, missing only that single impossible final question. It was an absolute trap beyond the curriculum, costing 10 massive points. Otherwise, he had flawlessly conquered the rest, securing 98 raw points of pure academic dominance. As for that final cursed problem, not a single academy prodigy had ever conquered it. She completely rejected my arrogant claim of having already mastered her entire magical syllabus. Backed by the teacher's sinister confidence, Yinuo's absolute arrogance returned in full force. Fine, the blood pact is sealed. Ba Qingji ruthlessly jumped into the fray. I accept this battle too. but your 2 pathetic lands cannot pay us all. Smelling blood in the water, Situ Nana and Jiang Yutong viciously joined the pack. The hyenas were circling their prey. Their mocking gazes locked onto me, hoping to crush my spirit with impossible debt. They were absolutely certain my pockets were hopelessly shallow. Ba Qingxi sneered viciously. Your wealth is a joke. What now? Beg the academy for a savior. She scanned the cold room. Dead silence answered her. Not a single soul dared to align with my ultimate fate. She prepared a final venomous insult, but a cold, feminine voice shattered the silence. I will back him. If he falls, I carry the debt, they sneered. To cover 5 noble houses? What supreme treasure could you possibly offer? Ming Dahal. Is that sufficient? Shen Wanqing chuckled with icy disdain. Defeat him, and the Situ clan's legendary elixir supply remains unbroken. The mere mention of Ming Dahal froze the very air in the classroom. Those 3 legendary syllables represented absolute terrifying power to their ruling noble families. Hearing her invoke that absolute, godlike authority, recalling their elders' absolute terror of the hall, their killing intent vanished. Deal. Just grant us an audience with Mingde, Shen Wanqing coldly agreed. The solemn pact is sealed. Besides, Feng Shiwan cannot lose. With her divine promise secured, the young masters trembled with uncontrollable greed. They desperately yearned to report this ultimate triumph to their clans. The teacher proudly brandished my completely blank test. Approach the altar, claim your doomed exam and begin. Yet, I remained perfectly seated. I demanded the absolute terms in blood first. Every coordinate, every floor, every gold coin was documented. I never enter blind. Before even glancing at the exam, I ruthlessly calculated their combined estates with the young masters, establishing an undeniable massive fortune. I deliberately recorded my own supreme assets as well, ensuring that upon my inevitable victory, these treacherous snakes could not substitute their trash properties. Only then did I snatch the exam from her hands and unleash my power. My pen danced like a master's blade. The academy watched in stunned silence. I conquered the problems at a terrifying godlike speed. My pen danced across the page. Teacher Jiang Wangxia and her arrogant clique smirked with absolute certainty. To them, my victory over Jiang Yin was a complete joke. Their greedy minds were already racing. Securing that prestigious Ming Dahal connection meant instant glory for their noble families. A massive bounty awaited them. 30 tense minutes melted away. I crushed the final problem and slammed my exam right on Jiang Wangxia's desk. Take a nice long look, Teacher Jiang. Shocked by my speed, a sneer of pure disgust twisted her features. She just had to announce the rules one last time. No crying about rush time when you lose. This blood oath is locked in. I simply arched an eyebrow, letting my silence speak volumes. A dead silence swallowed the classroom. She aggressively slashed her red pen, her face oozing with absolute mockery. But slowly, that arrogant smirk shattered into pure dread. Every single answer was flawless. Her trembling hands checked the ink again and again, desperately praying her eyes were just playing cruel tricks. A cold sweat broke out across her forehead. 0 mistakes. Impossible. This trash-tier student had spent 2 whole months slacking off. He only ever submitted completely empty sheets. How did he casually perfectly clear this hellish exam? Then her gaze dropped to the final boss question. Her pupils shrank into terrified pinpricks. She furiously rubbed her eyes in absolute disbelief. That problem was strictly university-level logic. The entire academy failed it, yet I completely crushed it. I did not just solve it. I flexed multiple elite formulas. She barely comprehended one. Her entire reality was crumbling. But the most humiliating truth was burning deep inside her soul. My genius equations were literally teaching her new mechanics. Jiang Wangxia felt her ego shattering. Crushed by a student she treated like absolute garbage? Never. Sweating bullets, she aggressively flipped back to page 1, desperately hunting for a single fatal flaw, just begging for one tiny excuse to dock a point. Watching their teacher frantically reread the pages, Ba Qingxi and her squad started suffocating in panic. I simply leaned in closer. Tick-tock, Teacher Jiang, stop stalling for time. You memorized it by now, so announce my total victory to the class. Dozens of burning stares locked onto the trembling instructor. Choking on her own bitter pride, she finally forced the heavy words out. Feng Yin claims absolute victory, a perfect score. That revelation exploded through the room like a tactical strike. A flawless run, pure insanity. Jiang Yin and his elite squad looked like their souls had just left their bodies. The agonizing financial ruin hit them instantly. 2 entire estates. They had just burned millions erasing those academy rumors. Losing 2 more prime territories now? Their hearts practically stopped beating. Smirking, I waved the high-stakes betting contract in the air. Thanks for the generous donation, losers. I shot a sly wink toward Shen Wanqing. Easiest loot of my life. Feast tonight on me. Let us celebrate this epic win. Catching my infectious energy, Shen Wanqing perfectly brightened up. That simple word, we, made her heart flutter with a sudden sugary warmth. She beamed brightly. Consider the VIP table booked. Absolutely fake, Ba Qingxi suddenly screeched. Her grand master plan to infiltrate Mingda Hall was completely turned to ashes. How could this commoner defeat them? The devastating loss of her family lands stabbed her chest like a physical blade. Screaming, she stormed the podium and aggressively ripped the exam away. But the brutal grading was already set in stone. Those flawless red checkmarks glared back like mocking demons. Ba Qingxi, I provoked her with zero mercy. Does your tiny brain even comprehend those elite formulas? Her spoiled face burned crimson with absolute rage. You toxic parasite. I held her gaze with a chilling, deadpan calm. Where is the lie? A low-level NPC staring at a god-tier physics sequence. You cannot read a single line, can you? Watch your venomous mouth instantly. Jiang Wangxia aggressively blocked my path, shielding her favorite noble. Teacher Jiang, the truth always hurts the most. Honestly, my legendary patience deserves an award right now. The corrupted instructor turned purple with fury and slammed her fists down. Know your place in the hierarchy? Is that how you address the elite class? Did your garbage education teach you zero respect? I instantly shot up, smashing my palm against the wood with terrifying force. I utterly destroyed her remaining authority. When I played nice, you treated me like absolute dirt. Is this your so-called noble guidance? Is this the Academy's grand justice? Seems your own fancy degrees are completely worthless. You and that crying brat are perfectly identical, only grasping a basic, single pathway for the final boss mechanic. If that is not pathetic cognitive failure, what is? Jiang Wangxia scrambled to save her shattering ego. Who dared say I lacked the knowledge? I already mastered every single technique you used. You just blindly rushed ahead. I fully intended to unveil those high-level strats during my masterclass lecture. What a massive hypocrite. She was secretly downloading my god-tier mechanics into her brain this entire time. Who could expose her blatant lies? Her absolute lack of shame didn't shock me at all. I struck back instantly. How magnificent, Instructor Zhang. Then, there are two hidden solutions I left out. The page was too small. Please, enlighten us with those legendary alternative methods. Let us compare wisdom. Jiang Wanxia's face twisted grimly. Catching my triumphant gaze, she instantly realized she stepped right into a trap. She desperately racked her brain for a counter, but hit a terrifying wall of nothingness. Heavy silence fell. Don't tell me you are clueless, instructor. Swallow your pride and ask. I promise I will not mock you. Her knuckles turned bone white as she crushed the exam paper. She desperately craved to shut my arrogant mouth. Swallowing her pride, she forced a neutral face. I confess, the final puzzle's alternate paths escape me entirely. Since Fang possesses this supreme knowledge, the stage is yours. Enlighten your peers at the blackboard. We are all humble students today. Her ignorance was completely exposed for the whole room to witness. She confessed to test if I actually possessed true genius or just laid a bluff. I approached silently. Smirking at her defeated gaze, I unleashed a flurry of masterful, lightning-fast chalk strokes across the slate. The room watched in absolute awe. After revealing the hidden formulas, I flawlessly tossed the chalk into its container. Examine this, instructor. Are there any flaws? Her complexion shifted from ghost white to furious crimson. Forcing a painful smile, she muttered, Fang's talent is truly overwhelming. The disciple truly conquers the master. I am honored to harbor such an absolute prodigy. I narrowed my eyes. The atmosphere felt wrong. A sinister scheme was clearly brewing beneath her mask. Bingo. A venomous grin split her face. Since you are so divine, allow me to forge a special trial. Are you truly a legend? Or did you employ some dark trickery to achieve this miracle today? The exam leaked yesterday. You could have easily memorized the answers. Qingxi instantly backed up her claim. With advanced warning, fabricating a perfect score or memorizing complex solutions requires absolutely zero actual talent or intellect. In the name of justice, her logic is flawless. Survive her true trial, and we will finally bow down to your overwhelming academic supremacy. A true master fears no challenge. Her smugness radiated fiercely. She knew my garbage passed completely. Refusing to accept my awakening, she bet everything on the delusion that my absolute victory was a staged fraud. A desperate spark of hope ignited within the arrogant elites. Perhaps they could still reclaim their shattered glory. The fools blindly branded me a fraud. I merely smirked. Bring on your absolute worst. The floor is yours. Thrilled by her perceived victory, she ruthlessly slashed a monstrous equation across the slate. Shen Wanqing and I recognized the cursed formula instantly. A silent, mocking laughter bubbled up inside our chests. We severely misjudged the boundless depths of this woman's sheer audacity. Breaking the curriculum was expected, but unleashing a nightmare of this catastrophic magnitude was utter madness. This brutal paradox was crafted by the absolute god of the physics realm, a legend codenamed Zero. Zero dominated the web, casually dropping brain-shattering enigmas that left top-tier scholars crying in absolute despair. This specific, mind-bending riddle had just dropped online. Even this arrogant instructor couldn't crack its divine code. Brilliant move. She was weaponizing my own creation against me. Catching my deadly smirk, she cowardly broke eye contact. Guilt flashed across her eyes. Consumed by a desperate thirst for my defeat, she stole from her sacred idol. She bet her life I would fail. After all, only true obsessed maniacs lurked in that elite digital realm. Regaining her icy composure, she cleared her throat and declared her final challenge. This trial is merciless. Conquer it, and we shall crown your genius as absolute truth, washing away all suspicion. Otherwise, your victory is trash. The students gazed at the blackboard, their minds completely shattered by the demonic numbers. Decoding the mere question was beyond their mortal comprehension. I exhaled slowly. Cracking this code is childishly simple. Your previous failure exposes your incompetence. Let us duel. We both conquer this beast on the board, simultaneously. I will personally test if your power matches your pathetic arrogance. Let the audience witness true destruction. Trembling with deep paranoia, she glared at me. Did this demonic student somehow realize she was completely powerless? Her mind raced, plotting a way to immediately reject my challenge. Otherwise, the situation would completely spiral out of her control. Suddenly, Zhang Yo shouted, "Teacher Zhang, crush him! Show this arrogant brat the vastness of the heavens. Accept the duel. Give him a soul-crushing defeat." Zhang Yutong chimed in. "Teacher Zhang, accept the challenge. Our absolute faith is in you." Ba Hingxi quickly joined the hype train. The entire peanut gallery demanded my immediate execution. They wanted her to expose my cheating and prove my utter worthlessness. That way, their precious assets stay safe. Plus, Shen Wanqing would still owe them that sweet Mingde Hall connection. Cold sweat drenched Teacher Zhang's back. Who would ever guess an elite instructor assigned an absolutely unsolvable problem? She was completely cornered. A total dead end. Regret violently chewed at her. Why pick such a god-tier equation? But basic questions wouldn't even make me break a sweat. Shen Wanqing watched this pathetic display with a hidden smirk. Mimicking my earlier icy tone, she suddenly struck. "Teacher Zhang, don't tell me you are clueless too? Why dodge the fight?" Fury ignited within her. "Fine, game on." She smugly convinced herself I was doomed anyway. This equation was practically legendary. Not a single soul here possessed the required brain power. She could just scribble chaotic, high-level nonsense. Who here could actually grade her? Regaining her arrogant posture, she smirked. "Challenge accepted. We shall calculate the answer on the board, face to face. Let us see if student Fang can actually shock his senior twice. Show me your so-called brilliant method." We locked eyes across the chalkboard battlefield. The countdown dropped. Chalk hit the slate like clashing steel swords. Her deceptive little scheme was already locked in. She would just copy-paste the mysterious Zero's formula from another puzzle. A flawless disguise. But my speed was otherworldly. Before she even hit the halfway mark, my chalk clicked against the tray. Done. The entire class gasped in absolute disbelief. He beat the teacher. Is he a monster? Bah. Speed is completely worthless anyway. Any fool can scribble fast. Accuracy is true power. Suddenly, Shen Wanqing slammed her palm against the desk. Dead silence violently choked the room. Feng Area's crew boiled with toxic envy. Why did the Ice Queen defend my honor? A mocking laugh bubbled up. This was her idol Zero's ultimate masterpiece. A trash student like Feng Ziwan solving this? Impossible. He wasn't even trying to fake an actual effort. She felt grading my board was beneath her dignity. In her delusional mind, my utter defeat was absolute. An eternity later, her chalk finally stopped. Smugly sliding the partition away, she prepared to witness my humiliating disaster. A venomous speech of pure mockery was already locked and loaded in her brain. Her eyes scanned my board. The arrogant smirk instantly shattered. Rereading the lines, a massive psychological earthquake violently shook her core. Fang Jiwan actually cracked the code. How? Zero dropped this nightmare equation recently, and the internet was completely stumped. It was practically an unsolvable god-tier puzzle. Yet my flawless logic screamed absolute perfection right in her face. Her academic instincts tragically betrayed her. So that is the hidden path. Why was she so blindingly ignorant? A chaotic storm of awe and sheer panic ripped through her, but her lying face miraculously maintained an icy, arrogant mask. Defeat was utterly unacceptable. Bowing to a trash student? That humiliation would permanently ruin her elite academy reputation. Watching her freeze, I struck the killing blow. Teacher Jang, ready to compare notes? She desperately braced her trembling nerves. Why bother? Your so-called answer is complete garbage. Her shamelessness had literally reached the absolute pinnacle. Snatching the chalk, she stormed over. With a vicious swipe, she crossed out my masterpiece and began furiously scribbling lies. Are you completely brainless? Failing such a basic equation, she ruthlessly assassinated my character, throwing disgusting accusations of moral bankruptcy. The sheer audacity nearly made me laugh out. Spitting absolute lies with a straight poker face, genuinely terrifying talent. Her and Jang Yunhua were absolutely two venomous snakes. This god-tier formula was totally beyond the peanut gallery. Fooled by her fake confidence, the sheep immediately turned their fangs on me. Wow, I actually thought he was a hidden genius. Just a disgusting, cheating scumbag. And he dared scheme for Baishi's precious properties. The absolute trash of our academy. Teacher Jang literally saved us from his lies. Suddenly, Shen Wanqing rose. Her icy aura dominated the room, forcing all eyes toward her. Fang Area's crew vibrated with malicious joy. They foolishly assumed the Ice Queen was finally stepping up to destroy me. The atmosphere completely shifted. Jang Yanuo practically vibrated with boundless energy. Without that Ming Dahal connection, I was entirely worthless. The Jang family could finally drop their polite facade. Kicking me out would be a total breeze. Jang Wanxia is purely foolish and vicious, I declared. Shen Wanqing smiled coldly. Watch your tone and your mouth! Jang Wanxia's voice exploded with absolute fury. Did I speak any lies, Teacher Jang? Shen Wanqing casually strolled toward her. Her intimidating aura was completely suffocating. Jang Wanxia choked on her words. In a single heartbeat, Shen Wanqing loomed right in front of her. Jang Wanxia instinctively recoiled, absolute panic leaking into her voice. What are you doing? Shen Wanqing snatched her arm. Jang Wanxia visibly winced in sheer pain. Relax, Teacher Jang. I just need to borrow your chalk. She swiped the chalk, shoved her aside, and fiercely faced the entire classroom. When I called Jang Wanxia foolish and vicious, I had solid reasons. Student Fang's answer is utterly flawless. Jang Wanxia's method is total garbage. Ignorance is just ignorance. True dignity means bravely admitting your own absolute limits. The true evil is weaponizing a teacher's authority to crush a student's perfect work. Shen Wanqing gripped the chalk, brutally shredded Jang Wanxia's fake solution, and fired back every single toxic insult flawlessly. Her crushing conclusion: zero ability, zero competence, zero integrity. Completely unfit to lead any classroom. With that devastating blow, she masterfully explained my solution from start to finish. Jang Wanxia's legs violently trembled. She desperately faked a brave face. Shen Wanqing, what perfectly proves my work is totally wrong? Jang Wanxia, you clearly need to see the brutal truth to believe it. Shen Wanqing whipped out her phone, instantly casting her screen to the smartboard. She fired up social media and searched for Zero. Pure, sickening dread crashed into Jang Wanxia. She knew who Zero was. She desperately lunged forward to stop her. I rigidly blocked her path, my voice turning to ice. What are you doing, teacher? Shen Wanqing is enlightening everyone. Shen Wanqing swiftly found the exact post and revealed the legendary identity of Zero. Even elite masters sweat over Zero's impossible puzzles. Yet Jang Wanxia used one to ruthlessly ambush student Fang. The hilarious twist? She couldn't even solve it herself. Shen Wanqing swiped down to Zero's older post, a totally different puzzle. In the comments, someone dropped a full answer. She clicked it. It matched Jang Wanxia's whiteboard scribbles word for word, praying the naive students wouldn't notice her scam. She blatantly stole an answer from an unrelated puzzle, and shamelessly claimed it as her own genius. She faked today's solution, and had the absolute nerve to confidently destroy student Fang's perfect work, while stubbornly pretending she was a genius. A chilling silence swallowed the classroom. Shen Wanqing's piercing gaze locked onto Jang Wanxia. Did I speak a single lie? Tell me, what gives you the right to teach? Her blunt words instantly ignited the explosive classroom. The shocking truth finally dawned, and their innocent gazes turned into absolute disgust. They honestly thought teachers were simply invincible. Nobody expected an educator to be massively outclassed by a mere student. Jiang Wanxia's face burned crimson red. Those judging glares from her students struck her like brutal, stinging slaps. She wanted nothing more than to instantly melt into the floor. But I wasn't nearly finished. Jiang Wanxia, shouldn't you beg for your students' forgiveness? Does a teacher seriously need a student to teach her basic manners? Her total humiliation bred purely venomous glares. I forcefully stepped forward and violently pinned her. She hopelessly struggled against my iron grip. Apologize right now. Friendly warning. Refuse, and you'll never stand again. I'm sorry. I cupped my ear. I literally can't hear you. Way too quiet. Jiang Wanxia screamed through furiously gritted teeth. I'm completely sorry. I shrugged, my icy gaze totally unbothered. Never forget about our bet. Knowing your terrible character, consider this your final warning. Don't even dream of backing out. I finally released her and casually returned to my seat. I smoothly grabbed the hidden micro camera from my textbooks, spliced the juicy footage into an epic compilation video of the entire dramatic showdown, and hit upload. Jiang Wanxia was my first target for total destruction. First her reputation, then her entire life. The second that video dropped, Shanann aggressively mobilized her connections and blasted it straight to the top trend. A massive tsunami of pure internet fury mercilessly crashed over Jiang Wanxia. Trash like her has absolutely zero right to teach. Kick her out of the academy. Ban her from the entire education world permanently. The public's fury ignited like wildfire. Thousands of angry comments besieged the academy and education board, viciously demanding Jiang Wanxia's head on a platter. She does not deserve to teach. Kick her out. But the internet's wrath did not end there. Netizens ruthlessly exposed her background. The moment her identity as the Jiang family's eldest daughter leaked, their corporate stocks plummeted into the abyss. Outraged crowds immediately demanded a total boycott of the entire Jiang corporate empire. Simultaneously, my profile was dragged into the spotlight, exactly as I had orchestrated. The world discovered I was the biological brother she had tormented. Her vicious abuse toward her own flesh and blood? The public blamed it on my absence during our early childhood years. I left those breadcrumbs on purpose. I personally fed the internet exactly what they wanted. Yet Shen Wanqing remained a ghost. Beyond her mere name, her entire existence was completely erased. With my tragic past revealed, the hatred for Wanxia exploded. A sister destroying her own brother? Pure, unforgivable psychological sickness. Thanks to Wanqing fanning the flames from the shadows, the Jiang family's empire bled heavily. Cornered by public pressure, the academy officially suspended Wanxia, pending a full investigation. After class, Wanqing and I headed to Mingyi Hall. Elites from the Fang and C2 clans practically begged for our miracle cures and an audience with the Phantom Healer. Yet, we coldly rejected every single plea. They even pulled strings with capital city heavyweights, but their pathetic efforts proved completely useless against us. Mingyi Hall bowed to absolutely no one. After plotting our next move over dinner, Wanqing drove me back to hell. Before stepping into the viper's nest, I sighed softly. Wanqing, you really do not need to guard me at school. The Jiang family's destruction is almost complete. You should return and focus on your true empire. She already managed a terrifying mountain of responsibilities every single day, constantly burning the midnight oil. Governing both Mingyi Hall and the Shadow Blades was exhausting. Hearing this, Wanqing's gaze melted into a gentle smile. Xiwan, are you worried I will collapse? I nodded truthfully. Her well-being meant everything to me. My current power to utterly crush the Jiang bloodline existed because of her unyielding support. My gratitude ran soul deep. Gracefully tucking a stray lock of raven hair behind her ear, her voice washed over me like a soothing melody. Fang Jiwan, my place is by your side. We share a childhood, and I refuse to miss a single moment of your destiny. Not even a second. Hit by her sudden, overwhelming confession, my heart skipped a beat in stunned, fluttering silence. Our bond was forged through years of survival. Our souls were so linked, she instantly read the hesitation in my eyes. Chuckling softly, I gently ruffled her hair. All right, do not overthink things. Our legendary journey has only just begun. We have endless time together. I only entered the dark mansion after her car vanished from sight. Just as predicted, the entire Jiang clan was waiting in the grand hall. Their faces were twisted in absolute, glorious misery. Wanxia's downfall was just the appetizer. It dragged their precious corporation to hell, violently exposing the dirty secrets of all 4 remaining sisters. Each one was now drowning in a merciless sea of public hatred. The mighty Jiang family was being crucified by the entire world. Meanwhile, I had blissfully kept my phone powered off. Unable to track me down, they were clearly losing their minds. Su Yua instantly snapped the second my foot crossed the threshold. So you finally remembered your home. Phone off. Where were you playing stray dog? I shot her a freezing glare. She flinched backward instinctively. But sensing the hostile backup of her entire bloodline, her pathetic courage slowly returned. She raised her chin in arrogant defiance. Am I wrong? Skipping curfew? Ignoring our frantic calls? What kind of trash behavior is this? I slowly cracked my knuckles, stepping into her personal space. So, what will you do about it? You want to bleed? Su Yua turned ghostly pale. How could she defend against a monster who turned violent at the slightest provocation? My icy gaze swept over the Jiang family. They seethed with absolute fury, yet perfectly remained frozen in terrified silence. I let out a mocking chuckle. If everyone is mute, I am heading to my chambers. Fang Xiwan, Jiang Shan barked, blocking my path. Have you seen the apocalyptic mess online? I simply nodded. Reading my cold indifference, the patriarch desperately pushed his luck further. This disaster is entirely your fault. Our corporate empire is hemorrhaging millions. You must fix this scandal for your eldest sister and the company. He was burning with rage, only swallowing his venom because he desperately needed my use. I smirked coldly. Why should I care about your burning kingdom? Did your precious adopted son Yinuo and your golden daughter Wanxia not ignite this war? They threw the first punch. I merely struck back. Oh, and Yinuo? Hand over those two properties immediately. Jiang Shan exhaled in utter, defeated exhaustion. You are the only savior we have left. Believe me, we would never beg if there was any other choice. I already knew the depths of the Jiang family's utter shamelessness. Their lack of pride was truly a spectacle. Is this your idea of begging? I mocked. Jiang Yutong snapped immediately. Funi, you share our bloodline. You owe us your loyalty. Do you even grasp the catastrophic ruin our empire suffered today? You surely cannot watch our legacy crumble. We are all bound by family ties. Protecting this house is your destiny, Jiang Yinuo added, sparking a chorus of agreement. True, Wanxia committed a grave sin, but we expect you to show grace. Save our household from this devastating storm. Choking down her blazing resentment, Jiang Wanxia surrendered her dignity. We are sisters. The empire's downfall destroys us all. Xia knows your hidden power. If you intervene, we will not just survive this disaster. We will rise invincible. Their motives were painfully obvious. The absolute truth struck me. They desperately wanted the legendary Ming Hall to intervene. With Ming Hall's supreme backing, any catastrophe could vanish. I marveled at the sheer audacity of the Jiang clan. Their brazen entitlement was honestly breathtaking. A cold, piercing laugh escaped my lips. Your empire is already dead to me. But those estates, Jiang Yin, surrender them immediately, or I will crush you. My defiance shattered Jiang Shanyu's fragile control. Funi, you refuse us over such a trivial matter? His fake warmth completely vanished. 2 agonizing months of kissing up to me, and still no closer to Ming Hall. His limits were utterly exhausted. Setting aside our impending ruin for just 1 single second. Tell me, do you comprehend the majesty of Ming Hall? Do you actually believe you can grasp the heavens? Are you even worthy? Jiang Shanyu clenched his fists. My brutal honesty pierced his soul, striking fears he never dared to face. Yet this worthless country girl held the keys to Ming Hall. Why was his prestigious bloodline denied that divine privilege? Choking back his venomous rage, he swallowed his pride. Forcing down his boiling resentment, he restored his calculating, heavy voice. Xuan, I realize approaching Ming Hall is a monumental task, but our entire legacy is crumbling. If you refuse to grant us an audience, the least you can do is help us survive this furious storm. You belong to us! I remained silent. I simply desired to witness their endless greed stretch further, dangling false hope before obliterating it. Psychological torture had its distinct advantages. Mistaking my silence for submission, Jiang Shanyu pushed much harder. She, simply go online and announce that today's devastating scandal was entirely fabricated by the media. Then stand beside your elder sister and display an unbreakable bond to fool the public. I gave him absolute silence. My piercing eyes locked onto Jiang Wanxia. Is this your pathetic wish? Must we truly act out this nauseating sisterly love? The mere thought is sickening. Jiang Wanxia flushed with deep humiliation. Given any alternative, she would never share a stage with me. But destiny offered her no escape routes. As she prepared to speak, my icy voice cut through first. I refuse to play your twisted games. the truth remains unaltered. Blame your toxic family lineage for molding such a wretched monster. How your sinking ship stays afloat is entirely your own burden, not mine. My absolute resolve to annihilate Zhang Wanxia was unshakable. My relentless defiance finally snapped Zhang Shanyu's last thread of sanity. He violently slammed the table, his eyes blazing with fury. I interrupted his wrath. Severing our ties is my only absolute offer. Those two words froze the patriarch's raging tirade completely. Sever ties? But the almighty Tang family of the capital guarded my back. How could his greedy soul surrender that ultimate power? He was hopelessly cornered like a rat. He could neither force my obedience nor abandon the glorious Tang alliance. Observing my iron will, Zhang Yinuo secretly celebrated. Sensing an opportunity to shine, he painted profound agony across his face. Our blood still binds us together forever. This requires merely a fraction of your power. Why deny us? Do you realize today's catastrophe extends far beyond corporate ruin? It could permanently obliterate Wanxia's future. Hearing his passionate defense, a warm flicker sparked in her hollow chest. Yinuo alone truly felt like her genuine flesh and blood brother. Mastering the dramatic arts, Zhang Yinuo closed the distance and pleaded, "What absolute sacrifice will satisfy you to save our family? Name your price, and I shall kneel." With a resonant thud, his knees struck the floor so violently that the entire room froze in utter breathless shock. Witnessing Zhang Yinuo sacrifice his supreme dignity for their survival, intense waves of guilt washed over the remaining family members. Since my glorious return, they witnessed his endless suffering. Nobody anticipated such a legendary display of submission for their pathetic sake. I honestly had to applaud his brilliant performance. Zhang Yinuo truly knew how to drown his immense pride when the stakes were highest. I almost clapped for his little performance. If I caved, the family would praise Yinuo's golden tongue. But if I walked away, his fake saint routine would skyrocket his precious status anyway. Like hell, I'd hand him that victory. I snatched his jaw, gripping it tight. I'll play savior, but on one condition. Yinuo played the desperate puppy. Anything. If it saves us, I swear I'll do it. Vanish from the Zhang family. Leave City A forever. That shattered his mask completely. His perfect, innocent face turned to absolute stone. Without his audience, he would have snapped entirely. But I didn't give him a single second to breathe. Hesitating? Didn't you just vow to sacrifice everything for them? If you're faking it, just say so. How dare you corner him? Wang Xia shrieked, her voice echoing. I knew you were plotting against our precious Yinuo. You're absolute trash for that demand. Meanwhile, Yinuo stayed silent, letting crocodile tears fall. Wang Xia's heart bled for him. She pulled him up, glaring. Listen here. As long as I breathe, you won't touch him. Suewa shot me venomous looks. You've crossed the line. That demand is pure insanity. Panicking that their father might actually agree, Yutong stepped up. Dad, don't listen to him. He dragged us into this nightmare. Fixing the disaster he created is the absolute bare minimum he owes us. Shan Yu never intended to say yes. My hidden connections were a tempting gamble, but too risky. However, Yinuo's golden ticket with the powerful B family was an absolute guarantee. Childhood sweethearts with an unbreakable bond. He wasn't about to trash a guaranteed alliance for my unproven worth. Plus, these past 2 months proved I was a wild card, an uncontrollable, utterly useless pawn in his eyes. I stood up slowly. I offered my hand. Since you're rejecting it, we're done. I turned toward the cold staircase. 2 steps up, I paused, flashing them a chilling smile. By the way, did none of you analyze that video? The camera angle is dead obvious. Could you really not guess who filmed it? How incredibly pathetic. Since you're all hopelessly blind, I'll spell it out. Instantly, Wang Xia and the rest whipped out their glowing screens. Obsessed with forcing me into damage control, they completely missed this ticking time bomb. In a flash, the horrifying reality of the camera angle hit the 3 siblings. Their jaws dropped in pure horror. Wang Xia stared, trembling with shock. Stop right there, you little punk. Why would you ruin me? She charged up the steps, blocking my escape, her face twisting into demonic rage. You vicious animal, you framed me, she roared. Without blinking, I slapped her right across her screaming face. Trash talk gets a trash reward. Wang Xia, if your soul wasn't rotting, I'd have no scandalous secrets to expose. A monster like you shouldn't be teaching kids anyway. Consider my public exposure a generous community service. Now, hand over those real estate deeds. Wang Xia's face crumbled into utter despair. Career destroyed. 2 mansions gone. Driven past the brink, she burst into a maniacal laugh. You want the houses? Rot in hell. Yinuo quietly exhaled. If she wasn't paying up, his own assets were safe too. That rebellious spark was exactly the excuse I needed. Like lightning, I seized her throat, hoisting her off the floor effortlessly. She hadn't expected such lethal speed. Terror replaced her fury as she kicked frantically, pinned like a helpless insect. True fear finally shattered her arrogant eyes. "Let her go," Suiwa lunged forward, but one murderous glare froze her dead in her tracks. Suddenly, Shanyu's phone rang. His annoyed frown instantly melted into a mask of pure dread. He hung up, his mind spiraling into chaos. The legendary Ming Dehal had just delivered a terrifying ultimatum about Wang Xia. If I was displeased, the entire Jiang Empire would be wiped out, and Dehal possessed the crushing power to do it. He was paralyzed. Why would an underworld titan protect a supposed loser like me? Exhaling heavily, he swallowed his suffocating pride. "The deeds. I'll force your sisters to sign everything over immediately." Smart choice. I dumped the Santu, the gasping Wang Xia, onto the cold tiles, dusted my hands, and vanished upstairs. Another sister stood completely speechless. The overwhelming mountain of power behind me was totally untouchable to their pathetic family. The regret was suffocating. She had dreamed of patching things up with me, but now the bridge was burned to ashes. Boiling rage clawed at her chest. Staring at the weeping Wang Xia only fueled her dark fury. Marching over, she brutally kicked her sister. She genuinely wanted to strangle her to death. She warned them again and again, "Do not dare antagonize me." But those arrogant fools blindly refused to listen. Now, their entire company was sinking into the chaotic aftermath. Her fury blazed like an uncontrollable inferno. The rest of the Jiang family? Completely paralyzed by absolute fear. Meanwhile, the Stu family, the Fang family, and the Bai bloodlines all received chilling summons from the legendary Ming Hall. The ultimate ultimatum: surrender your territories to Feng Xiuan before your inevitable doom is sealed. Any lingering thoughts of rebellion instantly evaporated into thin air. Shen Wanqing reported every single detail to me. She was absolute loyalty, personified, hiding nothing. She truly thrived in these shadowy moments. Honestly, I possessed countless other devastating methods to seize those assets without a drop of her help. But her ruthless efficiency genuinely pleased me. Ending the call, I scrolled through the roaring digital battlefield. Every single virtual blade was aimed at the Jiang family. Smirking, I logged into my legendary Zero persona. My previous trial was fully conquered, thanks to that viral school footage exploding. Time to drop a new mind-bending puzzle for the masses. Out of pure habit, I checked my shadow inbox. Amidst the endless sea of notifications, one from Jiang Wanxia practically glowed. She was desperately begging the almighty Zero for an impossibly difficult equation, claiming she desperately needed it for a grand academic summit and to brutally test the minds of the elite. 1 single second was all I needed to decode her scheme. She was starving for a pathetic, desperate comeback. Lacking her own power, she sought to steal the terrifying prestige of Zero. Little did this fool know, I was the very god she prayed to. Oh, the absolute irony. I was thrilled to grant her arrogant wish. I drafted a masterclass equation and solution on the spot, but I wove a lethal trap inside. The core formula was completely, fundamentally shattered. A microscopic, brilliant flaw, one that Jiang Wanxia's mediocre intellect could never possibly detect in a million years. Whatever grand scheme she plotted against me would only dig her grave much deeper. Absolute, irreversible destruction of her pathetic legacy. Seeing my divine reply manifest, euphoria crashed over Jiang Wanxia. She had been suffocating at the absolute end of her rope. Praying to the mythical Zero was a desperate, last-ditch gamble in the dark. Yet her silent god had actually answered, granting both the poison and the cure. She shot to her feet instantly, sprinting to declare absolute war on me, not merely forcing me to salvage her family's failing empire, but to stomp my pride into the dirt and prove her dominance. Still, I never expected this arrogant woman to strike so recklessly. I figured she would study the divine equation first, before hunting me down. But blind impatience clouded her. Leaning against the doorframe, I pierced her with a freezing glare. Trembling, she barked, "Feng Xiuan, one final death match. Do you dare accept?" Her voice quivered, but the blind confidence behind it was unmistakable. A wicked, cold smile tugged at my lips. The sheer despair she would feel tomorrow, realizing she worshipped her absolute worst enemy. I let the heavy silence suffocate her. Mistaking my silence for hesitation, she sneered like a false victor. "Are you terrified? Just beg for mercy." I let out a dark scoff. "Crushing trash like you? I am only worried your filthy existence will tarnish my legendary name." The psychological strike hit deep. Jiang Wancha's fragile pride shattered. Never had she swallowed such soul-crushing humiliation. Powerless to fight back, she swallowed her burning venom. Feng Zhuan, if I lose, I will banish myself from this academy for all eternity. I will surrender my teaching title until death. I smirked coldly. After today's catastrophic disaster, did you actually think your career would survive anyway? The sheer, pathetic delusion was hilarious. Jiang Wancha, you truly are entirely blind to your own insignificance. Nails biting into her trembling palms, she gasped for steadying air. Feng Zhuan, I will publicly broadcast my utter worthlessness to the whole world. But if you fall, you will confess your sins and sacrifice everything to save the Jiang bloodline from ruin. Do you dare? My blood began to hum with dark anticipation. She was my absolute first target anyway. If she insists on digging her own tragic grave, I will hand her the shovel. Fine. Tomorrow afternoon. Name your pathetic battlefield. Tomorrow morning, the desperate fool roared back, practically starving to witness my magnificent, crushing downfall immediately. My eyes turned to absolute ice. Tomorrow morning, your pathetic family transfers all physical territories to me first. Pay your previous blood debt before challenging me again. Terrified I would escape, she gritted her teeth and bowed. Retreating to her lair, she plotted my absolute public execution tomorrow. To seal my miserable fate, she needed legendary witnesses for the slaughter. The supreme physics master, Professor Wei Yan. Under his divine, undeniable judgment, my ruin would be set in solid stone. Like a predator tasting blood, she frantically opened her messaging application to summon the great and powerful scholar. Skipping the empty flattery, she hurled Zero's poisoned masterclass equation into the chat. Professor Wei, please grace our arena tomorrow to watch the so-called genius, Feng Zhuan, face an absolutely impossible trial. Jiang Wanxia felt absolute certainty. The legendary Zero's equations were notoriously brutal. No true scholar could resist such a glorious challenge. Toss in a supposed prodigy, and Professor Wei would definitely crawl out of the woodwork to witness the spectacle. Right on cue, the notification chimed. He confirmed his arrival for tomorrow afternoon. A sinister grin stretched across her face. Tomorrow, she would finally crush my pride into absolute dust. Meanwhile, Wei screenshotted their entire chat and eagerly forwarded it to me. His message reeked of absolute devotion. Master Zero, we reunite tomorrow. I rubbed my aching temples and killed the app. No reply. Seriously, how on earth did that snake find Wei Jiwan? Absolutely maddening. Every single encounter triggered his endless avalanche of fanboy questions. Regret washed over me completely. Why did I ever take him as my disciple? His notifications kept spamming. Defeated, I snatched up the phone. My warning was cold. Contain yourself tomorrow. Blow my cover early, and you are dead to me. His reply was instant. Crystal clear, Master Zero. Morning broke, and I strolled downstairs to a spectacular sight. The entire Jiang family looked absolutely miserable. A cheerful melody escaped my lips. Plopping into my chair, I beamed with pure innocence. What a truly glorious morning. My sheer audacity was suffocating. She desperately wanted to flip the table, but the looming threat of Ming Dehal chained her down. She swallowed her blazing fury. But I showed zero mercy over breakfast, casually poking at their crumbling company and my new properties. Every syllable was a lethal strike to the jugular. The Jiang family looked like they were swallowing glass. Their eyes screamed a desperate plea for me to just shut up. Once my appetite was fully satisfied, I gracefully plucked a napkin and dabbed the corners of my smirk. I flicked the crumpled paper right at her scowling face. See you this afternoon, little coward. Do not dare run away. Her complexion darkened to stormy iron. She nearly threw her bowl, until the sweet anticipation of her afternoon revenge anchored her rage. A live broadcast was her ultimate weapon. The entire internet would witness this fake prodigy crash and burn in spectacular agony. The morning vanished. The rest of the family stayed suspiciously quiet and perfectly tame. Nobody dared to provoke me. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. The lawyers confirmed that every single asset transfer was officially locked in. I purposely approached every single one of them, dripping with overwhelming gratitude. Pure psychological torture. They swallowed their bitter resentment, plastering on agonizingly fake smiles as they choked out. It is nothing at all. As for the legendary showdown with our dear teacher, thanks to some high-level string pulling, the principal canceled all afternoon classes. The whole academy would witness the clash and worship Professor Wei. The electric anticipation reached a boiling point. Afternoon finally struck. Staring at the massive, roaring crowd, panic briefly flickered in her eyes. But realizing this trap belonged to Zero, her dread vanished. Absolute arrogance surged back. The principal roared the rules. The teacher would set the impossible stage, and the prodigy must conquer it. The slaughter began. With supreme arrogance, she slashed the memorized equation across the chalkboard. Stepping back, she mockingly offered me the stage. I remained perfectly frozen. Rooted to my chair, I watched her patience snap. Little prodigy, the ultimate trial is waiting right here. Start your pathetic attempt. I completely ignored her venom. Tell me, teacher, did you forge this masterpiece yourself? Her heart violently dropped. Did I see through her illusion? She originally planned to steal the credit, but the overwhelming sea of spectators suddenly felt suffocating. If she claimed it and the devastating truth leaked out, the academic backlash would absolutely destroy her. Calculating the risks, she quickly pivoted. I discovered this ancient puzzle elsewhere. I lay no claim to its creation. My gaze pierced right through her soul. Since you merely borrowed it, why not repeat our glorious dance from yesterday? Let us battle this equation simultaneously. Do you dare? Fine, she scoffed confidently. The victory path was already burned into her brain. Pushing back my chair, I sauntered toward the battlefield. Standing shoulder to shoulder, I cast one final, deadly glance her way. Are you absolutely certain this equation is fully intact? Since it is stolen goods, it would be a shame if you memorized it wrong. Absolutely impossible. My memory is flawless, she snapped back immediately. She knew every single variable by heart. Then let the bloodbath commence. A massive divider was slammed down between us, completely severing our lines of sight. The starting bell echoed. She aggressively attacked the board without a single breath. Meanwhile, I just held my chalk, playing the utterly clueless victim. Watching my frozen state, the enemy faction trembled with pure, unadulterated ecstasy. This victory would not just shatter my genius title, it would obliterate my very existence. Defeat meant absolute surrender, chaining me to our crumbling family empire. Yesterday's catastrophic scandal had already brought the entire corporation to its knees. Their pathetic damage control was completely failing. Watching this disaster unfold, Yinuo's heart twisted with an agonizingly complex, suffocating dread. Should I fall here today? Wang Xia and I were destined for a brutal, endless war. The corporate flames would keep burning, sealing my grim fate as the ultimate villain forever despised by the entire Jiang household. Did they truly believe I was hopelessly trapped? An anxious, mocking whisper quickly swept through the packed student audience. Teacher Jiang is totally finished, but Funi hasn't even moved. Was that legendary prodigy title just a pathetic, empty rumor? Meanwhile, the veteran academy instructors remained dead silent, their brows sweating as they desperately tried cracking the terrifying equation mentally. Honestly, those elite professors were completely stumped themselves. To them, Wang Xia securing this hollow victory wasn't actually a triumphant milestone worth praising. Click. Wang Xia triumphantly dropped her chalk. A proctor quickly stepped forward, sliding away the heavy partitions separating our boards. Staring at my utterly pristine chalkboard, Wang Xia struggled to mask her malicious smirk. Zero's infamous formulas were truly a devastating nightmare. This total humiliation was exactly her master plan. Choking back her twisted glee, she stared down at me with sickeningly sweet, fake pity. My dear student, Funi Shiwan, if your mind is utterly blank, just surrender. Stop torturing yourself. You're merely a student. Defeat isn't fatal. I'll gladly guide you through the correct solution step by step. Listening quietly, I deliberately placed my chalk down with absolute composure. Instructor Jiang, merely filling a chalkboard with numbers doesn't make it actually correct.